Hello and welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Explore our playlist for more captivating novels, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 41, The Master of Spending Millions. Okay, stop making trouble. I'm telling the truth. You must help me later. Yun Miao simply ignored those indecent comments, blinked at the live camera, and after causing another wolf howl in the live broadcast room, he turned around and started to get busy. Because the system broadcast was turned on, even if Yun Miao didn't look at the live broadcast screen, he could still know what the audience in the live broadcast room were communicating about. The anchor really did it himself. Isn't this an entertainment live broadcast room? Is he really going to live weed out for us? Closing square bracket. Interesting, woman, you have successfully aroused my interest. Closing square bracket. Meow meow, the fine leaf grass on the left cannot be pulled out. It looks familiar. Let me look up some information. I know that one. It's a medicinal herb from the ring dust planet called dragon pill. It has the effect of nourishing and strengthening young. After taking it. There is also a plant with large serrated leaves on the right, that is Morinda officinalis, which can replenish kidney young and treat impotence. It is a good thing. Closing square bracket. What the hell? Meow meow, you planted so many herbs with strange effects, are you hinting at something? Closing square bracket. Brother in front, you have realized it. Closing square bracket. Question mark comma question mark. Yun Miao only learned the names of these grasses after listening to the broadcast. However, after hearing that the audience's topic was diverted by those strange effects, he could no longer remain silent. He immediately stood up and waved his hands towards the live broadcast room to deny the 3 consecutive claims. I didn't, please stop guessing. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, making her look as delicate and beautiful as a peach blossom. Her coquettish look aroused the wolf nature of many viewers. Meow meow, do you need a boyfriend? No. Then you must be lacking a girlfriend. Closing square bracket. Mom, I'm in love. Your daughter-in-law is Yun Miao, and she's a live streamer. Question mark. Chao Jiji gave the anchor a spaceship as a reward. Question mark comma question mark. Beautiful spaceship special effects flew across the light screen. Yun Miao smiled and expressed his gratitude, then quickly stopped those embarrassing words. For Yun Miao, who had just started live streaming not too long ago, the straightforward comments from the audience still made her feel a little embarrassed. Simply put, you are just not thick-skinned enough. I didn't plant these flowers and plants. I just helped take care of them, so don't think too much about it. There's nothing wrong. Yun Miao explained, and seeing that the barrage was about to tilt its head again, he quickly changed the subject and said, anyway, I have nothing to do right now, so I'll just sing a few songs with you guys to kill time. As Yun Miao spoke, she decisively turned off the settings for the barrage broadcast temporarily, and then began to operate on the optical computer. She was focused on debugging and didn't pay much attention to the situation in the live broadcast room, so she didn't see that when she lowered her head to set it, the live broadcast room suddenly exploded with special effects as brilliant as the galaxy. Question mark. Li Jin gave the anchor a brilliant starry sky. The dazzling prompt message, accompanied by blinding special effects, floated in the live broadcast room for a full 5 seconds before the light effect gradually faded away. When Yun Miao looked up, he happened to see some residual light effect, followed by a screen full of question marks and exclamation marks. Oh my god, a rich man has arrived. Is the anchor finally going to take off? Closing square bracket. Yun Miao stared blankly for a while before realizing what he had missed. Brilliant Galaxy ranks in the top 10 of the Magic Tooth gift list. 1 Brilliant Galaxy is equal to 1 million star coins. Even if the profits are shared with the platform, Yun Miao can still get hundreds of thousands of star coins. My heart was pounding. Is this what it feels like to become rich suddenly? Yun Miao had the urge to pinch herself to confirm whether she was dreaming, but fortunately she held it back, otherwise she would have been embarrassed in front of her fellow interstellar netizens. After the excitement, Yun Miao immediately calmed down, looked at the live broadcast room seriously, and asked, My friend Li Jin, did you accidentally click the wrong button? After all, with such a huge sum of money, who would be so wasteful as to use it for rewards? When asked this, Yun Miao became a little nervous. If I really clicked the wrong button, I won't be asked to pay back the money, right? Don't play like this. I haven't made any money yet. Am I going to be in debt again? Is this the price of rebirth, the curse from the god of poverty? You were right. Thank you for saving my daughter. Closing square bracket. Just as Yun Miao was daydreaming, words with golden special effects appeared on the screen again. Because the reward amount is the highest, the system has automatically turned on the Big Boss special effects, and the page can stay for 5 seconds among the countless screen-sweeping barrages in the live broadcast room, so that a group of ordinary people can worship him. Yun Miao looked at the line of words with light effects, also with a confused look on his face. I saved your daughter. When? How come I don't know? Yun Miao's expression at this moment perfectly illustrates what it means to be completely confused. Her eyes were wide open, her moist lips were slightly opened, and her white teeth were faintly visible. Her head was slightly tilted as if she was very confused, and she looked very cute. However, the audience in the live broadcast room were not stunned by Yun Miao's cuteness for too long, as their attention was attracted by several other comments that passed by. Wait, look at that name, is it what I thought? Or is it the same name as the last name? Closing square bracket. Li Jin, isn't that the name of the famous mecha master? Closing square bracket. Brothers, I have already checked his homepage before you, there is an official certification, and I have confirmed it with my eyes, it is undoubtedly that master. Closing square bracket. When the news came out, everyone was shocked. Wow, what's going on? The mecha master is here to give tips to the entertainment anchor. Are you sure your account wasn't hacked? That's not right, the hacker couldn't have stolen the StarNet account as well, right? Otherwise, how do you explain the huge amount of rewards? For a while, there were many different opinions in the live broadcast room, but the person being talked about seemed to be oblivious to everyone's speculation. After leaving a sentence, he disappeared completely disregarding the uproar his actions would cause. Even Yun Miao didn't know that the time before he would be known by the entire network had already begun counting down. Seeing that the other party had stopped talking and not knowing how to contact him, Yun Miao could only put the matter aside for the time being, thinking that he would see if he could find the other party's contact information after the live broadcast. Only after finding out the situation clearly, he would feel at ease to take the money. To thank you for your support, I will sing a few pastoral songs for you. As soon as Yun Miao started singing, the audience in the live broadcast room slowly forgot what had just happened. However, the news that the mecha master had dropped into the entertainment anchor's live broadcast room and spent millions instantly popped up on Xingbo and was rising at a very fast speed. Before long, this piece of news had directly climbed to the first place on the Xingbo list. Chapter 42. Number 1 on the hot search list. The Star Network has long been closely related to people's lives, and Star Blog, as a new media for reporting major and minor interstellar events, although it has a somewhat entertaining nature, has attracted many people's attention. Li Jin himself is a famous mecha master in the interstellar world. Although he is not as good as the top ones, he still attracts a lot of attention. It's just that Master Li Jin usually keeps a low profile and is not on the capital star, so there is almost no news about him. Now, his name suddenly appeared on the Star Network, and it suddenly jumped to the top of the hot search list on the Star blog, which immediately attracted the attention of many people. Did I see it wrong? Or is there something wrong with the Star Network? Didn't Master Li Jin just return to the capital star not long ago? At that time, it was reported that he went to the hospital. How could he be related to a small anchor now? Closing square bracket. The title that topped the most searched list on the Star blog. I know every word in it, but when I put it together it just seems ridiculous. Could it be that Master Li Jin's old tree has blossomed and is experiencing a second spring? He spent millions, my god. Closing square bracket. What old tree? Master Li is only 80 years old this year. This year's interstellar average life expectancy is 10 years longer than last year's 150 years old. So Master Lee is still very young, okay. Closing square bracket. Am I the only one who is curious about who the anchor who was given millions of dollars to spend is? Closing square bracket. Question mark. The same question. Question mark, comma, question mark. While netizens were discussing this, they all developed a strong curiosity about the other protagonist. So after clicking on the entry that ranked first on the Star blog, they were immediately struck by the beauty inside. The entry uses the picture of Yun Miao smiling at the camera. Her delicate face and clear smile make everyone who sees her feel as if she is smiling at themselves, and for an instant it seems as if their soul has been cleansed. I have a brother who is terminally ill. Before he dies, he wants to know all the information about this anchor. Could any kind-hearted person help him fulfill his last wish? Question mark. I also have one. Okay, it's me. Can someone kind enough tell me who she is? Closing square bracket. Moya Live Entertainment Zone, in the Waterside Live Room, take it and you're welcome. A good man has a peaceful life. Question mark. Good people live a peaceful life. Question mark, comma, question mark. Therefore, many people followed the entry and found Yun Miao's live broadcast room. Most people came to take a look out of curiosity, but the result was, everything was fine when I came here, but now I can't get out. The host girl is very beautiful, has a sweet voice, and sings so beautifully that it makes people unable to walk. Just like that, the popularity of the live broadcast room suddenly soared to a terrifying height, almost comparable to the little pinks in the battle zone. Yun Miao soon discovered that the popularity of the live broadcast room had increased, but she was not looking at the Star Network at the time, so she naturally didn't know that she had ranked first on the Star blog list. But it's not a bad thing to have increased popularity, so Yun Miao didn't care much about it and continued the live broadcast. On the other hand, another protagonist in the entry, Li Jin, is currently in the private ward of the first hospital, concentrating on peeling an apple for his daughter. His slender fingers that he used to draw mecha designs are now holding a fruit knife, clumsily peeling the apple. He looks so focused, as if he is not peeling an apple at the moment, but completing some difficult production. Li Man looked at Li Jin, and the expression on her face changed from numbness at first to gradually become complicated. These few days, she could feel that Li Jin was desperate to make amends with her heart, but facing her father's concern and worry, Li Man, who had almost never felt her father's love, felt fear instead of happiness at first. Even she herself didn't know what she was afraid of. Suya once said that if you encounter something you can't understand, let your heart judge. So after secretly observing for a few days, Li Man finally made her first request in so many years to the father in front of her, who was both strange and familiar. I want to eat the apple peeled by my father. This was a small wish that came to my young heart when I was 7 years old, watching my classmates showing off the fruit platters their fathers made for them. Now, it has finally come true. Only, Li Man glanced at the apples on the table, most of the flesh of which had been peeled off, leaving only the cores, and silently drew a big cross for that wish in her heart. Forget it, this wish is too wasteful. Apples are still very expensive, so let's change one. Chapter 43. Why? Dad. Man, what's wrong? Daddy will peel the apple soon, just wait a moment. Hearing his daughter's call, Li Jin quickly raised his head to respond. Although he tried hard to show his friendliness, he was used to being serious for so many years that he was still a little uncomfortable for a moment, so his smile looked a little stiff and weird. Li Man glanced at him, was silent for a moment, then lowered her head and said sullenly, "Did Dad give Miao a reward just now?" Ever since she heard Yun Miao singing that time, she has become a loyal fan of Yun Miao's live broadcast room, and set up special reminders for the room so that she can get the news as soon as the broadcast starts. She was watching the live broadcast just now, and naturally saw the rewards given by Li Jin in the live broadcast room. Unlike other people's initial suspicions, after she saw the account, she was sure that it was her father's account. When she saw the barrage of comments on that account, Li Man felt her whole heart warmed up a lot, as if the gap in her heart that had been there for many years was finally filled a little. Li Manman's voice was so soft that it was almost inaudible, but Li Jin still accurately grasped what she meant and began to explain. Manman likes that anchor very much, doesn't she? Because of her, I have the opportunity to make up for what I owe you over the years. Those rewards can be regarded as my gratitude to her. Although Li Jin had been immersed in research for many years and did not quite understand live streaming, a new industry that has emerged in recent decades, he understood a little after a quick search on Starnet. It is not convenient for me to thank the other party in person right now, so I can only express my gratitude in this way. Li Manman seemed to be hesitant to speak, and Li Jin noticed his daughter's reaction, so he asked, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" Li Manman hesitated for a while before speaking. "Dad, the 1 million you gave me is such a waste." Li Jin thought his daughter was worried about his money, so he proudly comforted her. "Manman, Dad is very rich, 1 million is nothing. He is a mecha master. Most of the people who come to him for help in making mechas are from famous families. In his eyes, money has always been just a number." But after thinking about it, Li Jin seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes were full of guilt when he looked at Li Manman. In the past, a sum of money would be automatically transferred from the account to his daughter every month, about 10 million yuan, but he had never asked his daughter whether the money was enough. Now when he heard her say that it was a waste, Li Jin immediately felt that the previous money must not be enough, which made his daughter so distressed. "Manman, I'm sorry, Li Jin was about to apologize for this, but he heard his daughter change the subject and said, "Miao Miao can only get half of the 1 million, it's such a waste, give it to her directly next time." Li Jin, okay, opening parenthesis question mark, comma closing parenthesis. "It turns out that my daughter doesn't really care about me. I'm so sad." However, his daughter was willing to communicate with him, and Li Jin, as an old father, was finally comforted. It seems like she really likes that anchor. Li Jin has now begun to consider whether he should learn more about the anchor so that he can communicate better with his daughter. After giving the reminder, Li Manman focused her attention on the live broadcast room again. Listening to Yun Miao's singing, Li Manman felt that her whole body had become calmer. The negative emotions that had troubled her for many years no longer appeared, making her feel that life seemed to become less difficult. Yun Miao stopped after singing 2 songs. While interacting with the audience in the live broadcast room, he kept picking out the grass that could be pulled out. In a short while, a small pile of weeds had accumulated next to him. The result was gratifying. "It's not my home, but I live here temporarily. Take you around. I can't do that for now. I need to get the owner's consent. Sing. I'll prepare new songs next time, or if you have any songs you want to hear, tell me and I can learn them." Yun Miao stood up, opened his arms, stretched his waist and relaxed his body, then took off his gloves, looked at the part he had cleaned up, and nodded with satisfaction. "That's all for today's live broadcast. See you next time." Having said that, Yun Miao was about to turn off the live broadcast, but at the last moment, Yun Miao seemed to see a barrage of comments flash by quickly. "This ungrateful person is not worthy of your love at all." Yun Miao paused and wanted to look up who had posted that comment, but because the pages turned too quickly, it was impossible for Yun Miao to find it again. He could only wait and see if he could find that comment in the live broadcast background. She had a hunch that the barrage must have been sent by someone from the Yun family. "I just don't know how they knew I was live streaming. And how they found my live streaming room." After a little thought, Yun Miao came back to his senses, waved towards the live broadcast room, and turned off the live broadcast amid the screen full of messages trying to keep him. After putting away the live broadcast ball and preparing to go back to the house, Yun Miao suddenly seemed to sense something and looked up towards a window. Just now, she seemed to feel that someone was looking at her, so she instinctively looked up, but she only saw the open window, the pure white curtains swaying slightly in the wind, but she didn't see even a single person. "That is Feng Chengyuan's room." Yun Miao looked at him in confusion for a while before looking away, frowning and muttering, "Strange, am I wrong? She thought she was just being suspicious and didn't care about what happened just now, but she didn't know that behind the fluttering window screen, in a place that Yun Miao couldn't see from her angle, Feng Chengyuan was sitting there. In fact, Yun Miao was not mistaken. After all, she had awakened her mermaid bloodline, and her mental power and perception were steadily improving. She could still more or less sense the feeling of being watched. But Yun Miao didn't know that before she raised her head, Feng Chengyuan had already controlled the wheelchair to move backwards, just avoiding Yun Miao's detection. Feng Chengyuan had actually been watching Yun Miao from the window. At first, he was just curious about what Yun Miao was doing, so he looked at her a few more times. As a result, he unknowingly became absorbed in it as if he was appreciating a beautiful scenery. It was not until Yun Miao stood up that he came to his senses. The thought that he was paying so much attention to one person was unbelievable even to Feng Chengyuan himself. He didn't know why he dodged, but the moment he saw Yun Miao looking up, he reacted instinctively. Why exactly? Feng Chengyuan muttered to himself, but no one in the empty room could respond to him. Chapter 44 I Have a Way. Yun family. Yun Bei looked at the black screen and was so angry that she picked up the water cup on the table and threw it out. It hit the door and broke into pieces with a bang. The next second, the door was opened and Yu Qingru walked in from outside. Belle, what's going on? Looking at the broken pieces of the cup on the ground, Yu Qingru was not angry, but was concerned about her daughter's situation first. Yun Bei angrily opened the light brain permissions, allowing Yu Qingru to see the live broadcast room that had gone dark. She said dissatisfiedly, "Mom, don't you know that Yun Miao actually went to live broadcast, and now there are so many people who like her? I'm so angry. Why does she do that?" Listening to her daughter's complaints, Yu Qingru also understood from her words why Yun Bei was angry. Yun Bei was just browsing the Star blog today out of boredom, and ended up seeing the entry that was ranked first on the hot search list. She clicked on it and unexpectedly saw Yun Miao's face. She was surprised and, like everyone else, followed the comment with the highest number of likes to find the Moya live broadcast room. What she saw was something that shocked her. Yun Miao, who originally thought that she would not have any good treatment in the general's mansion without the financial support of her family, turned out to be very successful on the Star Network live broadcast. Looking at those netizens praising Yun Miao to the utmost, Yun Bei's face was almost distorted with jealousy. Why? A stinky girl who came out of the slums. If she hadn't been brought back by the Yun family and given the identity of a member of the Yun family, she wouldn't know where she would be living in now. Why is someone like her liked by so many people? An ungrateful person. Mom, last time Yun Miao interfered, my brother lost the opportunity to ask Master Lang to help debug the mecha. Now the mecha competition is about to start the preliminaries. What if my brother loses the qualification to participate because of the problem with the mecha? Yun Bei asked worriedly. Upon hearing this, Yu Qingru also frowned. Regardless of what Yun Miao is doing now, she doesn't have the energy to care about her life or death at the moment. What she cares about most now is Yun Hao's competition. The mecha competition is a good opportunity. How can Yun Hao miss this opportunity because of the problem with the mecha? If what Yun Bei said was true, she felt like killing Yun Miao. Your father is still trying to figure out a solution for this matter. Don't bother him recently. Although he didn't blame you last time, it affected Hao's game after all, and he is worried about it. Yu Qingru reminded him, knowing in her heart that although her husband loved his daughter, he would not have asked Yun Miao to marry Feng Chengyuan instead of Yun Bei just because Yun Bei didn't want to. But compared with Yun Hao's future was more important after all. That represents how far the Yun family can go in the future. Yun Bei also understood this. Although she was occasionally dissatisfied, she did not dare to say much. When turning off the computer, Yun Bei seemed to suddenly think of something and exclaimed. I just thought of it. Isn't Master Li in the capital planet recently? Maybe my brother's mecha can ask that master for help. Yun Bei's words made Yu Qingru's eyes light up, but because of the other party's identity, they might not be able to ask him for help even if they had money. Belle, how did you come up with this? It's not easy to invite that master. Yu Qingru said with some difficulty. I have an idea. That thought became clearer and clearer in Yun Bei's mind, making her feel more energetic. She thought of the account that was suspected to be Li Jin himself, and the fact that he spent millions in the live broadcast room. At that time, she just felt extremely jealous, but now she realized that this was a good opportunity. The other party is willing to give Yun Miao a gift worth 1 million, which means he must like Yun Miao very much. In this case, since they are also members of the Yun family who come to ask for help, they should agree to it for Yun Miao's sake, right? Yun Bei spoke her thoughts excitedly, completely forgetting that she had just been belittling Yun Miao. In her opinion, since Yun Miao occupied the identity of a member of the Yun family, it was natural for him to be one of their own. After listening to this, Yu Qingru also felt that what Yun Bei said was feasible, so she quickly went to find Yun Songcheng and discussed the feasibility of this matter with him. Yun Songcheng didn't expect this to happen. He immediately thought it was a great opportunity and praised Yun Bei for coming up with the idea. Yun Bei took the opportunity to act coquettishly and asked Yun Songcheng to restore her previously frozen account and also asked Yun Songcheng to increase her pocket money. This time, after discussing with Yu Qingru, Yun Songcheng decided not to ask Yun Miao to help contact Li Jin, for fear that Yun Miao would interfere again. They didn't even think of asking Yun Miao about Li Jin, but instead sent someone to gather information and prepare to contact him themselves. Soon, the people arranged by Yun Songcheng found out Li Jin's whereabouts and knew that he had basically been staying in the private ward of the first hospital to accompany a patient during this period. Although they didn't know who the patient was, it was enough for Yun Songcheng to know the news about Li Jin. After getting the exact news, Yun Songcheng couldn't wait to go to the first hospital with gifts. The private ward is not open to the public, so it is not easy to get in. Yun Songcheng asked the nurse to help convey his request for a visit, and at the end he did not forget to ask the nurse to tell him that he was Yun Miao's family member. Although the nurse didn't understand, she still conveyed the message truthfully. When Li Jin heard that Yun Miao's family was visiting, he was a little surprised for a moment, but just as Yun Songcheng guessed, because of Yun Miao, Li Jin agreed to meet him. The two met in the visiting room outside the special ward. Because Li Manman's condition required her to stay here for a long time to recuperate, the originally bleak visiting room of the ward had been decorated to be as warm as home. Yun Songcheng looked at the surrounding arrangement and complained secretly, but when he saw Li Jin appear, he immediately put on a smile and stood up to greet him. After all, he is a businessman and is always tactful when communicating with others. Therefore, after meeting Li Jin, he did not feel awkward because of the other party's indifferent attitude. Instead, he unilaterally became warm to Li Jin after a few words. Yun Miao has a good relationship with her brother. She was worried for a long time because her brother's mecha had no one to debug during this mecha competition. We didn't expect that she would meet a master like you, Master Li. It's really a great honor for her. Yun Songcheng flattered Li Jin. Li Jin was a little bit unacceptable about this and could only quickly ask, "So, what does Mr. Yun mean by coming to see me?" The smile on Yun Songcheng's face froze for a moment, and the bunch of compliments he had just finished saying got stuck in his throat. I couldn't help but complain in my heart that Master Li was so straightforward, it really affected people's performance. Chapter 45 Guess. Li Jin didn't like to beat around the bush, so Yun Songcheng could only hold back the compliments in his mind and start talking about his purpose. Let me help your son debug the mecha. After listening to Yun Songcheng's words, Li Jin himself was a little bit unbelievable. That's it. For such a small matter as debugging a mecha, I think Mr. Yun can just find a builder. Li Jin felt a little bored and prepared to get up and leave. Yun Songcheng quickly spoke up to stop him. I mainly want to ask the master to help me see if there is a better modification. Li Jin paused slightly and looked back at Yun Songcheng, seeming hesitant. Upon seeing this, Yun Songcheng directly promised Li Jin a huge reward as long as he agreed to help. He then brought up Yun Miao's name and played the emotional card, and the hesitant Li Jin was finally persuaded. Seeing that his daughter likes the guy named Yun Miao so much, Li Jin doesn't mind helping the Yun family once. But, I have a condition, comma. Yun Miao didn't know that the Yun family was using her name to benefit themselves. After the live broadcast, she went back to her room to take a shower and change clothes. Seeing that the time was almost up, Yun Miao went to the kitchen to put everything in order, and then started cooking. The meal was ready, but Feng Chengyuan did not show up. Yun Miao was worried that something might have happened, so he went upstairs and knocked on Feng Chengyuan's door. It was only after a while that Feng Chengyuan responded from the room. Eat it yourself. You don't have to wait for me. I'm not hungry. The tone was still calm and steady, and no one could hear anything unusual. Yun Miao was very confused, but he couldn't force it, so he could only respond and go downstairs. Feng Chengyuan was sitting behind his desk in his office. On the screen in front of him were some internal documents of the Legion. However, he couldn't concentrate on reading them at the moment and simply turned it off. He glanced in the direction of the door. With his double S mental power, he could easily hear the movement at the door. The sound of Yun Miao's footsteps became farther and farther away, but Feng Chengyuan's brows gradually furrowed. I always feel that my mood during this period is inexplicably affected by Yun Miao, just like when I was watching Yun Miao's live broadcast before. Her lively and agile appearance made me smile involuntarily. That was an experience I had never had before. Why, and when did it start? Feng Chengyuan recalled the time he spent with Yun Miao. Maybe it started when he relaxed and fell asleep in front of her for the first time. Or maybe it was when he took the initiative to help her. After thinking about it, Feng Chengyuan still couldn't get an accurate answer. Just as Feng Chengyuan was lost in thought, the communication alert sounded, bringing him back to his senses. After taking a look at the other party's number and finding it was a red number, Feng Chengyuan's expression froze. He immediately straightened his collar, then sat up straight before answering the call. The next second, an officer with a resolute face and wearing a dark green uniform appeared on the light screen with a serious expression. Admiral, after 3 months of investigation, the number 7938 batch of medicine has now been thoroughly investigated. During the investigation, unused medicines were recovered, of which 3 were found to have unknown contamination. The remaining medicines are all normal. The officer making the report on the opposite side was Feng Chengyuan's adjutant, named Lei Kai. During the time when Feng Chengyuan was recuperating at home, he and another guy named Qimingyu were helping to manage the affairs of the 7th Legion. They were also secretly investigating the reason why Feng Chengyuan's mental power suddenly erupted. A year ago, Feng Chengyuan's mental power had always been in a very stable state, and no one had ever thought that he had the possibility of a mental rebellion. However, the most impossible thing in everyone's eyes happened. Feng Chengyuan had an accident when he was out on a mission. His mental turmoil almost caused huge damage. However, Feng Chengyuan finally resisted with his willpower. As a result, he fell into a coma and lay in the nutrition cabin for half a year. After waking up, Feng Chengyuan recalled the situation before his mental power erupted countless times. He was very sure that he had never felt any precursor symptoms of a mental power eruption. Moreover, before each mission, he would take a stabilizer in advance. That was a medicine that could prevent a mental power eruption from being triggered in the event of overdrawn mental power. Therefore, with the stabilizer on, it would be even less likely for such an accident to happen. Unless there was something wrong with the stabilizer he was taking. After realizing this, Feng Chengyuan immediately had someone secretly investigate the issue of that batch of stabilizers. However, in addition to being supplied to the military, a portion of the stabilizers in the same batch would also flow outside. The military's remaining batch had been secretly destroyed when he was unconscious. The only clues that could be traced back were those medicines that flowed to the outside world. However, the interstellar space is so vast that tracking down those scattered potions is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Lei Kai and Qimingyu were able to recover more than 300 potions within 3 months, which was considered an extraordinary ability, plus they were lucky. Lei Kai was still reporting the clues they had found. Feng Chengyuan listened carefully, but his expression did not change at all. He only nodded slightly after Lei Kai finished speaking. I see. Feng Chengyuan responded indifferently, which made Lei Kai a little confused about what he was thinking at the moment. Admiral, the medicine has been sent to the laboratory for inspection. Do we need to arrest and investigate the manufacturer next? Feng Chengyuan hesitated for a moment and then said, don't alert the enemy for now. Investigate secretly first and then make a decision. Yes. Lei Kai straightened his body, clenched his right fist and placed it across his left chest, and saluted respectfully. However, he did not turn off the communication screen immediately. Instead, his expression relaxed and he looked at Feng Chengyuan with a hint of worry in his eyes. Admiral, are you okay? Compared with his righteous, serious and rigid look just now, Lei Kai, who was not talking about business at this moment, looked a lot gentler. He had been with Feng Chengyuan for several years and admired Feng Chengyuan's abilities very much. Therefore, when Feng Chengyuan got into trouble, he was extremely worried. When he found out that Feng Chengyuan might have been murdered, Lei Kai naturally spared no effort to find clues. Ever since Feng Chengyuan woke up, he has never returned to the 7th Legion and never allowed them to visit him. Lei Kai has always been struggling with the idea of asking but not daring to. Now he finally expressed his concerns. Will you return to the 7th Legion? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 46. Go back and watch the fun. After asking, Lei Kai has been staring at Feng Chengyuan silently. Under his seemingly calm surface, his whole nerves have begun to tense up. Only his comrades and subordinates knew how talented Feng Chengyuan was. If nothing unexpected had happened, he might have surpassed the former Marshal Feng and become another miracle of the 7th Legion. However, Feng Chengyuan has now locked himself up at home. If he had not contacted them occasionally, they would have thought that Feng Chengyuan was going to leave the Legion completely. It is precisely because of this that Lei Kai has such concerns, fearing that Feng Chengyuan will never return to the Legion. It was clearly only a short wait, but to Lei Kai it seemed like a very long time had passed. Finally, Feng Chengyuan raised his eyes and looked at him, and said calmly but firmly, yes. Lei Kai was stunned. His expression changed from stunned at first to ecstasy slowly, and finally his face was filled with a silly smile that was totally inconsistent with his temperament. In the blink of an eye, his iron-blooded temperament disappeared. For some reason I feel like a Tibetan Mastiff transformed into a little golden retriever. Well, then, Admiral, please have a good rest. We are all waiting for your return. Having said that, Lei Kai once again gave a standard military salute, but this time his face was no longer serious, but instead had a smile that he could not hide. Feng Chengyuan looked at the loyal adjutant on the screen, and the look in his eyes gradually faded from cold to soft. He didn't say anything more and hung up the call. The light screen in front of him disappeared in an instant. The room fell into silence again, but this time there was no doubt in Feng Chengyuan's eyes. Instead, he was full of determination about what he was going to do next. The most important thing now is to find out the person who framed me behind the scenes, instead of worrying about some problems that I can't understand at all. Thinking of this, Feng Chengyuan felt suddenly enlightened, and the tangle that had been accumulating in his heart was finally resolved. There was a sound outside the door again, but Feng Chengyuan looked over and heard no sound. He knew it must be Yun Miao again, but he didn't know how she came back. Yun Miao went downstairs to bring the food to Feng Chengyuan. Although Feng Chengyuan said he didn't want to eat, Yun Miao thought that he might not be hungry at the moment, but might be hungry later, so he brought the food up and placed it at the door. The meal plate with automatic keep warm function is placed on the small table at the door, so Yun Miao is not worried that the food will get cold if left for a long time. She looked at the still closed door and hesitated whether to remind Feng Chengyuan, but thinking that he might be dealing with important matters, after hesitating for a while, she finally did not disturb Feng Chengyuan and turned around and left. After Yun Miao left for a while, Feng Chengyuan opened the door of the room and happened to see the plate placed at the door. Feng Chengyuan paused, and his expression became a little complicated when he looked at the plate. He frowned slightly, looking a little worried, but soon his brows relaxed and he reached out to bring the plate into the house. The door was closed again. For the next 2 days, Yun Miao stayed comfortably at home, doing a fixed 2-hour live broadcast every day. Although he did not sing throughout the whole process every time, the popularity of the live broadcast room seemed to have broken through some shackles and was steadily increasing every day. Even the rewards seemed to have made a qualitative leap compared to before. After Wang Chen had reached an agreement with Yun Miao, he quickly sent Yun Miao a detailed plan. After quickly reading it, Yun Miao found that although Wang Chen was a little fat, he was a man with great financial acumen. Now that he had his help, he and his father said that it would be difficult to lose in the so-called bet. After signing the confirmation letter of equity share, Yun Miao sent Wang Chen the recipes she had prepared for the reopening of Genting restaurant. She had already registered the copyright of these things on Star Network when she sorted them out, so she would not be afraid of Genting restaurant's dishes being copied after they became popular. In addition to communicating with Wang Chen about cooperation matters, Yun Miao also took the opportunity to contact the people from Moya Live and discuss the signing of the contract with them on Star Online. After confirming that the contract given by the other party was reasonable, Yun Miao directly signed the contract. Since Yun Miao is a newcomer, there is naturally no comparison between him and those big anchors in terms of contract signing. However, as Moya Live has achieved the largest position of its kind on Star Network, it is naturally not a black-hearted boss who mistreats its anchors. In terms of contract profit sharing, Moya Live has also clearly stated that the platform will only take 30% of any rewards given during the live broadcast. Yun Miao was very satisfied with this. After all, the share he got after signing the contract was much more than the 50-50 split before the contract was signed. In addition, Yun Miao discovered that there seemed to be something different about Feng Chengyuan, but if he looked closely, he could not find any problems at all. Being turned away that day did not make Yun Miao feel unhappy at all, but after that, Feng Chengyuan's attitude towards her seemed to have improved a lot, at least it seemed warmer than before. I don't know if I figured something out when I was locked in the room that day. Yun Miao really couldn't understand the reasons behind these changes and could only complain in his heart. Just when Yun Miao felt that such a life was so comfortable, a communication brought her good days to an end in an instant. What? You want me to go back to the Feng family's old house with you? Yun Miao was curled up on the sofa in the living room watching a TV series when he suddenly heard what Feng Chengyuan said to him. He stood up in surprise. Feng family's old house. It was the first time that Yun Miao knew that Feng Chengyuan's family actually had an ancestral house in Peng City, close to the West Sea, quite a distance from here. She had always thought that the general's mansion was the entire Feng family, but it turned out that she was too narrow-minded. You suddenly said you want to go back, is there something wrong? Yun Miao did not immediately agree to Feng Chengyuan's request, but asked in confusion. Feng Chengyuan glanced at Yun Miao indifferently, and said calmly, they said they wanted to see you, so of course they have to take you back. Pack up, and we'll leave soon. This time, it was not the people from the old house who sent a message to Feng Chengyuan, but the housekeeper Wu who had gone back to check the situation. Even Feng Chengyuan himself was puzzled. Why did Butler Wu send him a message asking him to go back as soon as possible when he knew that he didn't want to contact the people in the old house? Could it be that something really happened at the old house this time? If that's the case, maybe it would be nice to go back and watch the fun. Chapter 47 Feng Family Mansion. In fact, Yun Miao still doesn't know much about the Feng family's situation. As for Feng Chengyuan, he can only find sporadic information on the Star Internet. He only knows that his father is Feng Ming, a genius mecha master who once attracted everyone's attention and was also the youngest marshal. However, he later disappeared in a battle and there has been no news about him since then. Apart from this, there is almost no other information about Feng Chengyuan. Logically speaking, since the Feng family has produced two geniuses, it is impossible for them to be unknown. However, all the information about the Feng surname that can be found on the Star Network seems to have little to do with Feng Chengyuan. It's just weird. However, Yun Miao did not waste any time. After Feng Chengyuan said he would take her back to the Feng family, she immediately went back to her room, packed her things and went downstairs, without letting Feng Chengyuan wait too long. It sounded like Feng Chengyuan was going to stay in the Feng family's old house for a few days, so Yun Miao simply packed a few sets of clothes and took the live broadcast ball with him. After going downstairs, Feng Chengyuan saw that she was only carrying a small handbag in her hand, so he didn't say much and left the villa with her. After getting on the hovercraft and leaving, the two sat together in the back seat, but there was some distance between them. Feng Chengyuan relaxed slightly, leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes to take a nap. Yun Miao secretly glanced at him, and his originally tense body relaxed a little. Normally, Yun Miao didn't feel anything when she was with Feng Chengyuan, but when they were alone in such a small space, she would still feel nervous involuntarily. Thinking back to the first time when she and Feng Chengyuan rode in the car back to the villa, Yun Miao didn't even dare to breathe at that time. But now it's much better. At least now Yun Miao has the courage to secretly look at him when Feng Chengyuan closes his eyes and takes a nap. He has a stern face and never smiles. Although he has an extremely handsome appearance, he likes to keep a stern face and gives off an aura that says, "Keep away from strangers," at all times. But these are just appearances. Only after getting along with each other will you discover that, in fact, beneath that layer of iceberg, there is also warmth that belongs to human beings. Feng Chengyuan moved inadvertently, and Yun Miao immediately seemed to be frightened. He quickly sat up straight and looked away, pretending that nothing had happened. Therefore, he did not notice that Feng Chengyuan, who had his eyes closed, moved the corner of his mouth slightly, and a faint arc flashed by. The hovercraft flew all the way to Peng City, and in less than half an hour it arrived at a huge manor that was estimated to be over 10,000 square meters. The architecture here was retro in style, with a lawn and garden covering thousands of square meters in front of the main house full of ancient charm. On one side was a large bamboo and peach forest, and on the other side was a clear blue artificial lake. On the lake, one could see verandas and pavilions, and in the lake were large tracts of lotus and lotus plants. The main body of the mansion is a two-story building. The eaves and columns are carved with beautiful and intricate patterns. It is obviously an ancient building that has been there for many years. If you look down from a high altitude, you can see that the entire mansion is more like an ancient palace, looking very majestic and domineering. Yun Miao was in deep shock since she got off the hovercraft and followed Feng Chengyuan into the mansion. She had never imagined that the Feng family had such a large manor. The moment she walked into the gate of the mansion, she felt like she had traveled back to an ancient royal palace. Master Chengyuan is back. When they saw Feng Chengyuan getting out of the car, the people in the mansion immediately shouted excitedly and hurried back to the house to inform everyone about this matter. Soon other people came out to greet them, each with a smile on their face, looking very friendly. However, Feng Chengyuan didn't even give them a good look, and directly took Yun Miao into the mansion. Yun Miao followed Feng Chengyuan in a daze, walked through several corridors, and finally stopped in a living room. "Master Chengyuan, please wait a moment, the head of the family will be out soon." A middle-aged man dressed as a butler came forward, bowed slightly, and then spoke politely to Feng Chengyuan. Feng Chengyuan did not comment, but just sat there quietly without saying anything. Yun Miao also found a place to sit down, but his eyes were observing the surrounding environment and layout inconspicuously. Before she walked in, she was wondering if this kind of building that looked like an ancient palace was also decorated in an antique style. However, after she walked in, she found that it was not what she had guessed. It was actually decorated more modernly. Many high-tech products could be seen here, such as the holographic simulation ecosystem that could simulate the scenery of the Four Seasons. It was in the small courtyard outside the third corridor. After all, other places were warm like spring, and only that courtyard was snowing. Yun Miao couldn't help but notice it. While Yun Miao was looking around, the man who looked like a butler was also observing Yun Miao secretly. However, just as he looked around, he felt an icy gaze falling on him. The butler followed the feeling and looked towards the source of the gaze, and met Feng Chengyuan's pair of cold eyes. His heart suddenly tightened, and he quickly retracted his gaze and dared not look at it anymore. That should be the one from the Yun family who was in an arranged marriage. Didn't they say that they had no feelings for each other at all? Why wouldn't they even let him look at her? The housekeeper felt bitter, but he couldn't say it. Soon, a loud noise came from outside, and then several young people came in, surrounded by a middle-aged man. When they saw Feng Chengyuan, their expressions were unnatural for a moment, but they soon smiled at Feng Chengyuan as if nothing had happened. "Brother Chengyuan, you are finally back. We haven't seen you since you woke up, but now we finally see you." The first person to speak was a young man in his early 20s with short, slightly curly chestnut hair. He was sunny and energetic when he smiled, and he was a cheerful and generous person. His name is Feng Ananan, and he is the youngest son of Feng Zhen, the current head of the Feng family, and the middle-aged man who was escorted in. Feng Chengyuan looked up and glanced at the few people. After responding with an indifferent expression, he looked directly at Feng Zhen and called out in a flat tone, "Uncle." Feng Zhen was somewhat dissatisfied with Feng Chengyuan's attitude, but he couldn't show it on his face, so he could only nod his head as a sign of agreement. Then he sat in the main seat and began to ask about Feng Chengyuan's recent situation. Yun Miao was ignored by Feng Zhen from beginning to end. The few young men who followed Feng Zhen in would look at Yun Miao from time to time, and then gather together and whisper something. Yun Miao could not hear what they said, but he was sure that they were talking about him. Chapter 48. This person might be mentally ill. Feng Zhen and Feng Chengyuan were chatting casually, and Yun Miao felt bored and wanted to roll his eyes. She felt like she understood why Feng Chengyuan became so cold after he decided to come back. Except for the young man who spoke to Feng Chengyuan at the beginning, the other people in the Feng family seemed to have a strange attitude towards Feng Chengyuan. Especially the man in front of him who was called uncle by Feng Chengyuan. His polite and perfunctory attitude did not seem like he was treating a younger relative by blood. Instead, it seemed like he was treating a strange guest. Fortunately, the two of them didn't exchange pleasantries for long before Feng Zhen stood up and prepared to leave, as if he had completed his mission, and his steps were much faster than when he came. But before leaving, Feng Zhen turned back and said to Feng Chengyuan, "The old man has been waiting for you to come back, remember to go see him later." Feng Chengyuan did not comment, and Feng Zhen did not care either. After saying what he wanted to say, he left on his own. After Feng Zhen left, the remaining young people walked towards Feng Chengyuan. The one leading the group was Feng Anan, who had first spoken to Feng Chengyuan. When he came in front of Feng Chengyuan, he greeted him warmly, "Brother Chengyuan, you won't leave this time, right? We haven't gotten together for a long time. Why don't we get together tonight?" As soon as he opened his mouth, others followed suit, but the words they said were much more unpleasant to the ear. "Feng Chengyuan, you should still be recovering from your injuries, right? Anyway, you don't have to go to the army anymore, so why not stay in this old house? We will take care of you in the future because we are a family." "That's right. It doesn't matter if your legs can't walk in the future. The family doesn't need you to eat for free. It's fine for you to stay." "Zhang Qi and Chen, what are you talking about?" Quote. Several young people were arguing loudly, and Yun Miao couldn't help frowning when he heard them. Who are these people? Did they talk like this? She had figured out that although these people seemed enthusiastic, what they said was actually just to bully Feng Chengyuan. Yun Miao felt furious when she heard this, but Feng Chengyuan seemed not to care at all and didn't even say a word of rebuttal. "Why haven't you said anything? Are you not even going to give me this little bit of face?" The person who was speaking was a man with a crew cut. Judging from the way the few people addressed each other in their conversation just now, his name should be Feng Anchen. He had a sinister look in his eyes and didn't seem like a good person. Indeed, what was said was not so pleasant. Yun Miao glanced at Feng Chengyuan, who looked calm and indifferent, then glanced at the few unpleasant guys in front of him, hesitated for a moment, and finally stepped forward. "I think, with the attitude you just spoke in, it's not worth wasting that little bit of face." Yun Miao's words immediately attracted the attention of several people in front of her. They all stared at her with ugly expressions. Feng Anchen, who was directly confronted, stared at Yun Miao fiercely and snorted, "Who are you? Do you have the right to interrupt us when we are talking to each other, brothers? Are you the woman from the Yun family who begged for marriage in order to establish a relationship with the Feng family? She is quite pretty, no wonder. Don't think that you can become a phoenix just by climbing up the Feng family ladder. Quote. Several people in front were talking at once, looking at Yun Miao with contempt in their eyes. In their opinion, the Yun family only had a little bit of assets. How could it be compared with the Feng family with rich assets? The marriage between the Feng family and the Yun family was not called a marriage, it was simply poverty alleviation. Feng Chengyuan raised his eyes and glanced at the people who were shouting in front of him, then looked at Yun Miao who was standing in front of him, his eyes darkened. Why should she take the initiative to help herself? Did he think that he, the general of the 7th Legion, would be bullied by a few idle parasites who just stayed in the family and lived off their parents? The reason why I didn't respond to what I said to those people just now was because I felt it was unnecessary. I didn't take these people seriously at all. Even if they said something unpleasant, in my opinion it was just the impotent rage of losers. But why did that strange feeling come up again? The moment Yun Miao took the initiative to speak, Feng Chengyuan felt something in his heart beat violently, and a strange feeling instantly spread throughout his body. He just couldn't figure out what that feeling meant. He just lowered his eyes and glanced at his fingertips on the armrest of the wheelchair, where he still felt a slight numbness. A bunch of self-righteous guys, how noble are they compared to me? Your sense of superiority is that you pretend to care about others, but you deliberately say things that make people uncomfortable. You are two-faced and have a sweet mouth but a sharp tongue. So this is the upbringing of being a child of a big family. Yun Miao straightened his back and glared at the people in front of him without being humble or arrogant. She knew that what she said would anger them, but she didn't know why. She just didn't want to see these people treat Feng Chengyuan like that. Stinky woman, how dare you talk to us like that? Feng Anchen glared at him, obviously angry. The other people also had grim expressions. Even Feng Anan, who had been quite enthusiastic towards Feng Chengyuan at the beginning, could no longer maintain the smile on his face. Why, did I hit the nail on the head on your head, so you got angry? Yun Miao showed no sign of weakness and continued to attack fearlessly. Feng Anchen was indeed enraged and was about to take action immediately. However, before he could get close to Yun Miao, a hand grabbed his wrist tightly. The force was so great that Feng Anchen cried out in pain. It hurts, let go, let go. Feng Anchen curled up slightly because of the pain in his wrist. His ferocious face was full of pain, and Yun Miao was a little stunned by his vulnerable appearance. How come this guy looks fierce, but turns out to be just a weakling? Thinking this in his mind, Yun Miao quickly returned to stand behind Feng Chengyuan. She was definitely not afraid, she just felt that at this time, she should give Feng Chengyuan some room to perform. Brother Chengyuan, what do you mean? Seeing Feng Chengyuan suddenly clamp down on Feng Anchen's wrist, Feng Anan immediately stepped forward to stop him, but just as he got close, he was frightened by a look from Feng Chengyuan and stopped. Shut up. Feng Chengyuan spoke in a deep voice, with a fierce look in his eyes that made people shudder at the sight of him. Don't come around next time, and don't be so self-righteous as to think that you have the right to bully me. Even if I am disabled, I still have the power to send you to a remote planet to live out your life. After saying that, Feng Chengyuan used a clever move to throw Feng Anchen out. The other party took several steps back, lost his balance and fell to the ground with a thump, looking very embarrassed. Feng Anan and others hurried forward to support him, and turned back to look at Feng Chengyuan with accusing eyes. Brother Chengyuan, we are all brothers, how could you be so harsh? Yun Miao couldn't help but rub his hands when he saw his accusing look. Is this person mentally ill? Chapter 49. Are you worried about me? Facing Feng Anan's accusations, Feng Chengyuan's expression did not change at all, and he was even too lazy to continue to argue with them. If you dare to do it again next time, it won't be so easy to end it. Feng Chengyuan glanced at those people, left a word in a cold tone, and called Yun Miao to leave. The few people left behind looked at Feng Chengyuan and Yun Miao's backs as they left, their expressions changing. Damn it, does he still think he is the genius admiral he once was? He is just a cripple now, what is there to be so crazy about? Feng Anchen covered his wrist which was still aching, and gritted his teeth as he looked in the direction Feng Chengyuan left. Zhang Qi, who was supporting him, also chimed in with a few words, acting like a little follower. And Nan, you still think of him as a brother, but do you think he thinks of you as a brother? Next time, don't do such a thing and don't feel ashamed. Seeing that Feng Ananan hadn't said anything, Feng Anchen felt indignant and couldn't help but say a few words, but his words sounded a bit harsh. Feng and Nan frowned slightly and didn't respond, but the expression on his face was not very good either. He is the son of the head of the Feng family, and has always been a popular young master in the Feng family. Now he took the initiative to show his friendship to Feng Chengyuan, but was directly ignored by Feng Chengyuan. This made him feel a little embarrassed and unable to save face. Only, don't be angry, he may not have recovered from the blow yet. What you said before may have touched his sore spot, so he is angry. Feng and Nan suppressed his dissatisfaction and explained with a forced smile. Feng Anchen just snorted when he heard this and didn't say anything else. Feng Chengyuan took Yun Miao out of the front hall and headed straight for the backyard. On the way, they met many maids. They were all stunned when they saw Feng Chengyuan, and then they belatedly bowed to Feng Chengyuan and called him Master Chengyuan. Feng Chengyuan acted as if he didn't see anything about this. He took Yun Miao to a courtyard as he was familiar with the place. Then he let Yun Miao choose a room and put his luggage in it. After Yun Miao put down his luggage, he looked around the yard casually. The yard is very large. The entrance is through a hanging flower gate with 2 osmanthus trees planted at the door. After entering, you can walk along the winding corridors on both sides to the master bedroom and the guest room. The corridors on both sides wrap around a large courtyard. In one corner, there is a welcoming pine planted with strange stones and flowing water under the pine, and there are awakening bamboos on the water. Occasionally, you can hear the sound of bamboo knocking, which inexplicably makes the whole courtyard become quiet and peaceful. In the other corner, there is a silver leaf white planted with silver leaf white. I don't know how many years it has grown, but now it is tall enough to climb to the top of the yard. Clusters of milky white flowers and leaves almost occupy the wall in that corner. The lawn is divided into different shapes by white pearl pebbles and glazed black sand, and the road surface is paved with marble, connecting all directions of the courtyard. Yun Miao looked at the quaint courtyard in front of him and inexplicably felt as if he had traveled back to ancient times, with a strong sense of time. After a quick look around the yard, Yun Miao looked around but didn't see Feng Chengyuan. Thinking he should still be in the room, he walked towards his room. The door was not closed. Yun Miao knocked on it gently and walked in. Feng Chengyuan was working in front of the window, and a light screen was open in front of him. However, because he had no authority, Yun Miao could only see a translucent screen floating in front of him, and had no idea what was inside. "My Lord Admiral, do you need my help to clean up?" Yun Miao asked casually, and after looking around, he couldn't help but click his tongue. It looked like he wouldn't need to help clean up. After all, everything in the room had been put in place. Even the bed that was faintly visible behind the gauze curtain had been replaced with new bedding, which was laid flat on the bed without a wrinkle. Feng Chengyuan looked up at Yun Miao, turned off the screen he was working on, and said to Yun Miao, "The Feng family is a family that has been passed down for hundreds of years. It was once glorious, but after a long period of good times, people will inevitably start to indulge in pleasure. It's no one else's fault that the Feng family has come to this point." While Yun Miao was full of surprise, Feng Chengyuan told her some things about the Feng family. The Feng family was once a glorious family, but now only has a little bit of its glory left. Generation after generation, with the decline of the dynasty and the rise of the federation, the Feng family has become even weaker than before. It's not that no one wants to save the crumbling building, but they just don't have the ability, so in the end they can only go with the flow. By the time of the old man's generation, there were 3 sons left. The eldest was Feng Zhen, the second was Feng Qing, and the third was Feng Ming. Feng Zhen and Feng Qing are of mediocre abilities, but the youngest, Feng Ming, is an extraordinary genius. Therefore, the Feng family has poured all their resources into Feng Ming, hoping that he can lead the Feng family back to its former glory. However, the Feng family wanted to control everything about Feng Ming, which eventually led to a disagreement between Feng Ming and the Feng family. Until Feng Ming disappeared on the battlefield, he never resolved the rift between him and the Feng family. Because of his father, Feng Chengyuan didn't have much good feelings towards the Feng family. Especially after the Feng family's actions in the 10 years since his father disappeared, Feng Chengyuan felt that there was a reason why his father wanted to break with the Feng family. However, Feng Chengyuan did not tell Yun Miao about these things, he only told her the identities of those people. Feng Anchen is the son of Feng Qing, 3 years younger than Feng Chengyuan. He has a rebellious character and never gives up. Feng Anan is the youngest son of Feng Zhen. He just turned 20 this year and is still studying at the capital military academy. He has an older brother, Feng Anlin, and an older sister, Feng Linyu, who have now begun to manage some of the Feng family's industries. As for the other Zhang Qi, he is not a member of the Feng family, but the son of Feng Qing's sister-in-law. Because their family all work in the Feng family's business, and Feng Qing's wife likes this little nephew very much, she often brings him to the Feng family to stay for a while. Next time you meet them, ignore them. If they cause you trouble, you can come to me directly. After saying what he wanted to say, Feng Chengyuan did not forget to give a reminder. Yun Miao nodded and agreed, but he couldn't help but complain in his heart. Why did Feng Chengyuan suddenly talk to me so much? And his last reminder, was it because he was worried that I would be bullied? Thinking of this, Yun Miao suddenly felt a little moved. Judging from Feng Chengyuan's previous attitude towards those people, he should not like to have anything to do with them. But now he tells me that if I get bullied I can come to him directly. Does that mean he will help me? Remember what I said. Seeing Yun Miao in a trance, Feng Chengyuan reminded him again. Don't worry, I'll remember what you said. Yun Miao nodded quickly in response. I didn't expect Feng Chengyuan to think about me, so I naturally wouldn't cause him trouble. But the premise is that those people don't provoke me. If they dare to provoke me, I will not tolerate it. Mermaids have never been pretty vases. Chapter 50 Mr. Feng. By the way, didn't that person ask you to meet someone? Yun Miao remembered what Feng Zhen said before he left, and thought that Feng Chengyuan had forgotten, so he spoke up to remind him. Feng Chengyuan just nodded when he heard it, but he didn't plan to leave. Obviously, he was not ready to go now. This made Yun Miao a little confused. Judging from Feng Zhen's tone at the time, he should have asked Feng Chengyuan to meet an elder. If he didn't go yet, wouldn't the other party be angry? Just as Yun Miao was complaining in his heart, Feng Chengyuan suddenly looked towards the direction of the door, and then he heard a few knocks on the door, and then a familiar figure walked in. Butler Wu. Yun Miao looked at the person who came in surprise. The other person also showed Yun Miao his signature smile, then walked in front of Feng Chengyuan and bowed slightly. Admiral, I'm sorry I couldn't pick you up earlier. I discovered something, so I was delayed. Butler Wu said this with an apologetic look on his face, and there seemed to be some unresolved worry hidden in his expression. Yun Miao was a little confused, but he also knew that there were some things that he shouldn't ask about, so he just stood there quietly, waiting for Feng Chengyuan's answer. Feng Chengyuan just nodded to show that he accepted what Butler Wu said, but did not ask him what he had discovered. It was as if he already knew what Butler Wu said. How's it going over there? Feng Chengyuan asked. Butler Wu replied, the old man is indeed not as good as before, but he got a little better a few days ago. He hoped that I could notify you to come over, saying that he had something to tell you. Feng Chengyuan sneered when he heard this and said nothing more. Do you want to go over and take a look now? Butler Wu asked. This time Feng Chengyuan did not refuse, but said to Yun Miao, don't care about what you hear later. If you really don't want to listen, just leave. After saying that, without waiting for Yun Miao to answer, he called Butler Wu and went out. Yun Miao was stunned for a second. What did Feng Chengyuan mean by this? Without thinking too much, Seeing that the two had already gone out, Yun Miao hurriedly followed them. Old Master Feng lived in the deepest part of the entire manor. The environment there was quieter than the busy courtyard outside, but it was obviously impossible to walk around in such a large manor, so after walking out of the courtyard, the three of them got on a land vehicle and drove directly to where the old master lived. Compared to the speed of the hover car, the speed of the land car is obviously not comparable, but it is more than enough as a means of transportation in such a large mansion. In just 3 minutes, the car stopped in front of a door. Feng Chengyuan's wheelchair landed smoothly with the support of the mechanical arm. He looked up at the courtyard gate and walked in with Yun Miao and Butler Wu. The layout of the courtyard has a bit of zen, but if you look closely, it seems that the zen is mixed with a lot of impetuous energy, which makes people feel inexplicably uncomfortable. Yun Miao didn't understand garden art, but she felt that the style of this courtyard was not what she liked, so she just took a quick glance and followed Feng Chengyuan into a hallway. You still know how to come back. Yun Miao followed Feng Chengyuan and heard an old voice scolding him before he even entered the door. Feng Chengyuan's wheelchair stopped at the door. He looked at the old man sitting in the main seat in the hall and said indifferently, "Didn't you ask Butler Wu to call me back?" Yun Miao's vision was partially blocked by Butler Wu because of his position. When he heard the sound from the door, he stuck half of his head out to look inside. Then he saw an old man with gray hair sitting on the main seat. He looked to be in his 80s or 90s and was about to die. However, Yun Miao, who now had a basic understanding of the average life expectancy of the interstellar world, did not think that the other party was only 70 or 80 years old. After all, this age was only middle-aged in this world. Therefore, the old man on the main seat must be at least 140 or 50 years old. If you think my coming back will make you unhappy, don't make excuses for me to come back next time. As he said this, Feng Chengyuan was about to turn around and leave, but as soon as he made a move, the old man in the main seat couldn't sit still anymore and shouted, "Come back, when did I tell you to leave?" Feng Chengyuan didn't care and went back to the hall. Yun Miao and Butler Wu followed Feng Chengyuan in. Butler Wu stood respectfully to the right behind Feng Chengyuan, with his eyes slightly lowered, as if he was watching his nose and his nose was watching his heart. This made Yun Miao a little at a loss as to what to do for a moment. After a little thought, Yun Miao also stood beside Feng Chengyuan, but just as she walked over, the old man in the main seat looked at her. "Are you the girl from the Yun family? Why do you look different from before?" Yun Miao was startled by what Mr. Feng said. She looked at Feng Chengyuan beside her with some worry, and gestured to him frantically, hoping that he could help explain it. After all, Yun Miao herself didn't know what was going on in this matter, so it was basically impossible to expect her to give an answer. Feng Chengyuan naturally saw Yun Miao's little winking gesture. Although he didn't understand what she wanted to express, he inexplicably felt that the little expression was somewhat quirky and cute. They are not the same person, so they naturally look different. Feng Chengyuan had no intention of hiding anything and told the truth directly. Old Master Feng was stunned for a moment, obviously not understanding what Feng Chengyuan meant. However, Feng Chengyuan was no longer willing to say anything more and directly changed the subject. "Why did you ask me to come back this time? You rarely come back once a year. Do I have to have a reason to let you come back?" "I told you, I'm busy. What else can you do now? You've already..." Old Master Feng was so excited that the words came out of his mouth without thinking. He reacted halfway through and barely stopped talking. But when he looked at Feng Chengyuan's expression again, he saw that it had indeed turned cold. "I am still the admiral of the 7th Legion." Feng Chengyuan knew what old man Feng wanted to say, which was nothing more than that he was disabled and could no longer stay in the military. But Feng Chengyuan didn't care. At least he was still a member of the military and remained in the position of general. Old Master Feng was choked and his expression was not very good. He knew that if he continued this topic with Feng Chengyuan, it would definitely end in a bad mood like before, so he could only take the initiative to change the subject. "The main reason I asked you to come back this time is because you didn't inform your family about your marriage. Although we were the ones who arranged your marriage, your family still needs to know about such a big event as marriage. Although the wedding has already passed, at least let your new wife get to know your family. My 145th birthday is coming soon, so it's a good opportunity for you to come back and get together with everyone. Old Master Feng kept talking, and Feng Chengyuan didn't respond, but he didn't refuse either. After a long while, Mr. Feng finished what he wanted to say. When he looked at Feng Chengyuan and asked for his opinion, Feng Chengyuan said slowly, "I don't care." Old Master Feng was immediately furious, but when facing Feng Chengyuan's eyes that showed no emotion, he finally waved his hands impatiently and simply asked people to leave first to avoid being angry to death. Check out our playlist for more amazing novels. Chapter 51, Which mermaid can resist the temptation of water? Only after leaving Mr. Feng did Yun Miao feel a little relieved. Although she had just been a background figure the whole time, she felt inexplicably nervous, especially when Mr. Feng mentioned that the person he and Feng Chengyuan were engaged to were different people. Yun Miao felt that her heart skipped a beat. You're obviously a victim too, so there's no need to be so nervous even if you're discovered, right? But Yun Miao was really nervous, the kind of nervousness that made him afraid to breathe heavily. Fortunately, Mr. Feng was so angry with Feng Chengyuan that he probably didn't remember Yun Miao, so he let the matter go. It can be said that Yun Miao escaped a disaster. I originally thought that Feng Chengyuan didn't care about this matter at all, but I didn't expect that after returning to his residence, Feng Chengyuan turned around and gave Yun Miao some instructions before going back to his room. Next time someone asks about your identity, don't tell them about the exchange between you and the Yun family. As for the agreement, don't tell anyone. Yun Miao looked confused, but seeing Feng Chengyuan still staring at him, he didn't think much about it and nodded in agreement. Don't worry, I won't say anything. She always felt that the people in the Feng family's old house were not easy to get along with, and unless it was necessary, she didn't really want to contact them. After getting a satisfactory answer, Feng Chengyuan returned to the room. Butler Wu walked in a little slower and smiled and nodded at Yun Miao before closing the door. The next second, the door was closed. When he turned around, Butler Wu's expression became serious. "Admiral, I have found some information about the Marshal in the past few days since I came back." Butler Wu hurried to Feng Chengyuan and reported respectfully. When Feng Chengyuan heard this, the fingers on the armrest of the wheelchair trembled slightly, and some emotion seemed to flash across his deep and dark eyes. "Explain," Feng Chengyuan said in a calm tone. Butler Wu nodded, and then quickly operated on his light computer. The next second, Feng Chengyuan's light computer vibrated slightly. He opened it and saw what Butler Wu had just sent him. It was a document, a military conscription document. When Feng Chengyuan read the contents inside, his pupils couldn't help but shrink slightly. A large number of star beasts were discovered in the Jamar galaxy, and the 7th Legion was urgently called in to suppress them. I found this at the Marshal's former residence. A star beast appeared in the Jamar system, and the 7th Legion was recruited. Why not recruit the 4th Legion, which is closer, but the 7th Legion, which is so far away? Feng Chengyuan thought this matter was strange, and why did the military's conscription letter appear in Feng's house? He didn't believe it was left by his father. He knew his father's character and would never leave such an important thing in Feng's house. In addition, I also found a safe, but I didn't take it out because it was difficult to move casually. Butler Wu operated the computer again, and several photos appeared on the screen in front of Feng Chengyuan, all of which were taken by Butler Wu. Feng Chengyuan only took a glance and recognized that it was his father's former study. When he and his father were young and had not moved out yet, he often followed his father and studied in that study, so he was very familiar with the layout inside. I saw a silver-gray safe on the wall, and a tall bookshelf next to it. I guess the bookshelf must have been moved away, revealing the safe behind it. The safe requires a password to open, and it says that if you make more than 3 incorrect operations, the contents will be automatically destroyed, so I didn't move it, fearing that there might be other protection mechanisms. Butler Wu's words made Feng Chengyuan fall into deep thought, and he turned off the screen after a while. "You did a great job. I'll find a chance to go over and take a look." As Feng Chengyuan spoke, his thoughts fell into memories. After all these years, he still remembered what had happened clearly. On the other side, Yun Miao started to pack the things he brought with him after returning to his room, but since he didn't bring many things, it didn't take him long. After everything was tidied, Yun Miao had nothing to do, so he thought of going out for a walk and taking a look at this huge mansion. Before going out, Yun Miao went to Feng Chengyuan first, wanting to talk to him first, but seeing the door still closed, Yun Miao guessed that the two of them might have something important to talk about, so he didn't knock on the door to disturb them and walked out of the yard. Yun Miao was not familiar with the surroundings and didn't have a clear place she wanted to go, so she planned to just walk around and take in the scenery that seemed familiar yet completely different. Along the way, we walked past several corridors, visited several gardens, and looked at several courtyards, and before we knew it, we arrived at the artificial lake that we saw in the hovercraft. The water in the lake is very clear, and it looks even more transparent against the blue sky. Lotus flowers are planted by the lake, and they are in full bloom now. The light pink flowers surround the water corridor and extend to the pavilion in the center of the lake. Walking among them is like being in a fairyland. Yun Miao couldn't help but sigh at the beautiful scenery in front of her, but what concerned her more was the lake that looked to have very good water quality. Want to swim? Ever since awakening her mermaid blood, Yun Miao was afraid of exposing her abnormality, so she had been just soaking in the bathtub. Although the bathtub was not small, big enough for 2 or 3 people to fit in at the same time, Yun Miao still felt it was not enough. It was not big enough for her to even swim a circle. Although there is a big swimming pool in the backyard, can you swim there casually? If you go into the water at night without fear of death, you may end up getting knocked on the door by the research institute the next morning. Well, they have been together for some time after all, and Feng Chengyuan might not do such a heartless thing, but she can't rely on someone else for her safety, because any uncertain factors may become the cause of her irreparable disaster. Therefore, no matter how much Yun Miao coveted the big swimming pool, he could only reluctantly turn a blind eye to it. Now that he had seen a lake that was many times larger than the swimming pool, Yun Miao's instincts as a mermaid began to stir again. Which mermaid can resist the temptation of water? The answer is of course no. But the risk is too great. Yun Miao looked at the sparkling water and felt as if his heart was being scratched by a cat's claws. His legs even felt a little weak and he felt like he wanted to turn into a fish tail immediately. Fortunately, Yun Miao tried hard to control himself and did not show any abnormality. Taking a deep breath, Yun Miao hesitated for a moment but still did not choose to turn around and leave. Instead, he walked along the water corridor to the pavilion in the lake. There is no guardrail on one side of the pavilion, but there are several steps, just enough for Yun Miao to sit on and soak his feet in the lake water. Although I can't turn into a fish tail and swim in the water, there is an inexplicable feeling of comfort in soaking my legs in the water. Yun Miao leaned on the stone steps, looked up at the blue sky, and felt a lot happier. Time passed silently, and just when Yun Miao was enjoying the rare comfort, a voice suddenly came from behind him, instantly breaking the tranquility. Chapter 52. Even though it's late, it's time to settle the accounts after the fall. Who are you? A girl's voice came from behind him. Yun Miao quickly turned around and saw a little girl about 12 or 13 years old, wearing a lotus pink puffy skirt and a ponytail tied with a white ribbon, looking at him curiously. Yun Miao sat up and looked at the other person in confusion, and asked, "Little sister, who are you?" The other person looked cute, with a round, rosy face, a pair of big, round almond-shaped eyes, pupils as black as ink like a pair of black grapes, and lips that were pink and tender, with the fleshy feel of a baby's lips. "My name is Feng Yaoyao, what's yours, sister?" The little girl looked at Yun Miao with an innocent face, as innocent as a little angel. Yun Miao smiled and greeted her, saying, "My name is Yun Miao, I am." "I see. You are the woman that Brother Yuan brought back, right? I heard Brother and Nan and the others talk about you." Feng Yaoyao walked up to Yun Miao, bent down slightly and looked at her, her eyes full of confusion, and asked, "What are you doing here? Where is Brother Yuan? Aren't you the woman he brought back? Why don't you stay with him?" Yun Miao felt a little strange listening to her series of questions. The girl's tone of voice was somewhat childish, but her words and some of the wording made Yun Miao feel that they were not suitable for a girl of this age to say. Little sister, I and your brother Yuan are a registered legal couple, not some woman you brought back. Don't say such things next time, it will make people feel impolite. Yun Miao patiently taught the little girl how to use words, but she just blinked her eyes, looked at Yun Miao innocently, and asked back, Brother Yuan definitely doesn't like you and won't marry you. You can't fool me. Feng Yaoyao shook her head, with an expression as if she saw through everything. When she looked at Yun Miao again, there was a strange look in her eyes. Yun Miao, are children nowadays so precocious? Between him and me, forget it. I can't explain it to a kid like you. Just assume that I'm lying to you. Yun Miao was too lazy to argue with a little girl. Thinking that he had been out for quite a while, he prepared to get up and go back. Little sister, the water here is deep and dangerous, you'd better go back early. Before leaving, Yun Miao did not forget to give a reminder, but the other party did not answer, but just looked at Yun Miao's back quietly. Yun Miao thought that the little girl was cute, but felt weird, so he didn't say anything more and left. Yun Miao just thought it was an insignificant episode and didn't take it to heart. On the way back, he thought that the pavilion in the middle of the lake where he had just stayed was a good place. As a mermaid, being forced to live on the shore was one thing, but looking at such a large body of water that he couldn't even touch was a bit tortuous. Anyway, it's such a big manor and no one should go there at night. It's better to just swim a few laps at night. No one should notice you. Thinking of this, Yun Miao felt that this idea was completely feasible. He was so happy that he even quickened his pace. When they returned to the residence, Butler Wu had been waiting for a long time. It wasn't because there was anything important, but he was worried that Yun Miao might get lost if he went out by himself after just arriving here. Yun Miao smiled awkwardly and said sorry, but she did not tell Butler Wu that his worry was completely unnecessary. Since her awakening, her memory has been greatly enhanced. It was just a simple memory route and it was not difficult for her. In the evening, because Feng Chengyuan rarely came back, Old Master Feng asked his family members who were away to come back early so that they could have dinner together. But he was afraid that Feng Chengyuan would refuse, so he asked the butler to come and confirm with Feng Chengyuan several times. He was satisfied only after getting the answer that he would definitely attend. Yun Miao felt that Old Master Feng seemed to care a lot about Feng Chengyuan, but he didn't know what kind of experiences Feng Chengyuan had had that made him treat everyone in the Feng family like a stranger. At 6 o'clock in the evening, everyone gathered in the restaurant. Although Grandpa Feng had given the order, not all people made it back in time. However, even so, Yun Miao realized how many people there were in a big family. A long dining table that could seat 20 to 30 people was filled with people. Old Master Feng naturally sat in the main seat. On normal days, Feng Zhen would naturally sit in the second seat to Old Master Feng's left, followed by Feng Zhen's wife. But tonight, Feng Chengyuan replaced Feng Zhen and sat in the second seat. Yun Miao could see that the seats at the table should be arranged according to status. After seeing Feng Chengyuan take his seat, Yun Miao hesitated for a moment and still sat next to Feng Chengyuan. Feng Zhen's wife saw Yun Miao's actions and was about to say something when Feng Zhen stopped her with his eyes. In the end, no one said anything and they each found their own seats and sat down. Yun Miao sighed inwardly, thinking that this was the bad thing about this big family, there were too many rules. She glanced at the people present without leaving a trace, and saw several familiar faces. They were the people who were taught a lesson by Feng Chengyuan before, especially Feng Anchen. He was as obedient as he was before, and it seemed that he had completely put away his rebellious aura. It was obvious that although he looked a little reckless, he also knew that this kind of occasion was not something he could do rashly. In addition, Yun Miao also saw the little girl he had met at the pavilion in the center of the lake. She was sitting at the end of the dining table. Her small figure sat upright in her seat, looking a bit reserved like a lady from an aristocratic family. In addition, there is another man who looks about the same age as Feng Chengyuan and has a somewhat similar appearance. I think he should be Feng Zhen's eldest son Feng Anlin. Next to Feng Anlin was a woman wearing a professional suit and looking very capable and intellectual. Her identity was self-evident. It must be Feng Linyu. When Yun Miao was quietly looking at everyone, in fact, other people were also looking at her, with different expressions on their faces. Some were inquiring, some were disdainful, some were contemptuous, some were ignoring, all kinds of reactions were endless. However, everyone was concerned about the current situation and did not dare to act rashly. The Feng family is a strict rule of not talking while eating, so the dinner was so quiet that only the occasional sound of cutlery colliding could be heard. Yun Miao felt so oppressive that he couldn't eat and felt very uncomfortable. Aren't dinner parties supposed to be lively and festive? In this situation now, there is really no need to force it. Fortunately, this dinner that was like a torture ended quickly. Feng Chengyuan and Old Master Feng put down their cutlery almost at the same time. At the same time, Yun Miao suddenly felt that he was finally free. However, just when Yun Miao thought he could leave immediately, Old Master Feng directly asked about Feng Chengyuan. I already know that the girl you are engaged to from the Yun family is not the one next to you. What do you say? As soon as Old Master Feng opened his mouth, everyone else looked towards Feng Chengyuan. Many of them had a teasing look in their eyes, and it was obvious that they wanted to watch the show. Yun Miao's heart suddenly tightened. It's coming, the reckoning has finally come. Although he knew that this matter was not his problem, Yun Miao still looked at Feng Chengyuan nervously. However, Feng Chengyuan, who was being watched by everyone, raised his eyes calmly at this moment, met the old man's gaze, and said lightly, "So what? She is also a member of the Yun family. Anyway, it has been decided according to your ideas. Isn't it the same whether I marry anyone in the Yun family?" "Chengyuan, how do you talk to grandpa?" Feng Zhen glared at Feng Chengyuan and scolded him unhappily. Chapter 53 Feng Chengyuan's protection. Is not it? Feng Chengyuan raised his eyes, his sharp eyes swept over Feng Zhen, and sneered, "Or did I not follow your wishes and marry the fiancé you arranged for me, and you are not satisfied?" Feng Zhen was choked and his face turned very ugly. He is now the head of the Feng family. In front of so many people in the Feng family, Feng Chengyuan dared to talk to him like this. He simply didn't take him seriously. For a moment, Feng Zhen felt a surge of anger in his heart. He slapped the table and stood up. "Feng Chengyuan, are you so disrespectful to your elders?" However, Feng Zhen's aura did not scare Feng Chengyuan. Instead, it made Old Master Feng, who was sitting in the main seat, frown. "Old man, I'm still here, why are you banging the table?" Old Master Feng glared at Feng Zhen, scolded him, then turned to look at Feng Chengyuan and said, "Chengyuan, your uncle did it for your own good. After all, you and your father are both geniuses with excellent genes. If you can marry someone with a higher spiritual match, the child born may become a super genius that surpasses you. The little girl from the Yun family was the most compatible with you in terms of spiritual match, so your uncle decided to arrange a marriage for you." Feng Zhen also echoed the words, "This is all for the future of the Feng family. As a member of the Feng family, shouldn't you make some contribution to the Feng family?" PFF'd. Just as he finished speaking, a small sneer happened to be heard in the silence. Everyone looked in the direction where the voice came from, wanting to see who was so bold as to show up at this time. Feng Zhen's face suddenly darkened. "Isn't it making fun of myself to make that sound when I just finished speaking?" Only when everyone looked over in the direction of the sound did they realize that the person who had laughed was none other than Yun Miao, who was sitting next to Feng Chengyuan. Facing the murderous gazes of the crowd, Yun Miao blinked to show that he was innocent. She just thought of Yun Bei after hearing what Feng Zhen said and found it funny. Yun Miao really couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he tried. How could someone like Yun Bei know that she and Feng Chengyuan were a good match? Spiritual compatibility. Was it measured by some instrument? The instrument must have been distorted during the test. Yun Bei was so many levels behind Feng Chengyuan. Then what are you laughing at? Feng Zhen looked at Yun Miao unhappily, his eyes full of disgust. "I heard that she is the daughter that the Yun family just brought back from outside." The girl named Yun Bei from the Yun family was considered marrying up to the Feng family. If it weren't for the high degree of compatibility between you two, how could the Yun family be in our eyes? Now you have changed people without saying a word. Do you really not take us elders seriously? Feng Zhen's words were simply telling everyone in front of everyone that Yun Miao was not worthy of the Feng family. He was not polite at all. Feng Chengyuan's eyes dimmed, and an inexplicable emotion surged up from the bottom of his heart. However, just after he opened his mouth to speak, Yun Miao beside him stood up on his own initiative. Uncle, what you said is a bit strange. We are both daughters of the Yun family, but Yun Bei can marry me but I can't. Besides, marriages are no longer arranged by parents or matchmakers. As an elder, you arranged a marriage for the admiral. It was a favor to you that there was no objection at the beginning. But after all, it is a lifelong event. Everyone has their likes and dislikes. He didn't like Yun Bei, but he had to consider your face, so he chose me as his marriage partner in the end. How can this be said to be disrespecting you, the elders? If you really don't care, you can just not recognize the engagement. But you, as the elders, arranged the engagement for him without even asking him what he really thought. Now you are criticizing and rejecting his choice without asking any questions. I think you are the ones who completely disrespect his wishes. As soon as Yun Miao opened his mouth, he launched into a series of non-stop attacks, which made Feng Zhen so angry that his face almost turned green. Everyone else's faces weren't looking too good either. Yun Miao's keen perception allowed him to feel that some of the gazes falling on him were almost as if they wanted to shoot him through. The little girl is really a sharp-tongued person. Feng Qing, who had been silent, said something meaningful. He was glanced at by old man Feng and Feng Zhen at the same time. He did not show any fear. Instead, he had a playful smile on his face and leaned back on the seat without any image, as if he was enjoying a good show. The atmosphere among the elders was tense, and the younger generations were all silent and dared not speak, but without exception, when they looked at Yun Miao, their eyes were full of strangeness. This guy is really not afraid of death. He dares to contradict his elders in the Feng family. Old Master Feng was also very angry. He was silent for a long while and then spoke angrily. Chengyuan, this is the person you're looking for to marry. So uneducated. Mr. Feng's face darkened, and he exuded an aura of majesty without even getting angry, which completely brought the atmosphere in the restaurant to a freezing point. However, Feng Chengyuan, who was named by Mr. Feng, glanced at everyone slowly, then said calmly, "She is the one I chose, I don't want you to embarrass her anymore. If you have any opinions, you can tell me directly. As for whether I will listen, I think it depends on whether what you say makes sense." Feng Chengyuan's attitude was very clear. Yun Miao was not someone they could bully. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Yun Miao was also shocked. He looked at Feng Chengyuan with a pair of watery eyes with a bit of disbelief, and there were complex and inexplicable emotions surging in his eyes. She didn't stand up just now to speak for Feng Chengyuan, but half of the reason was for herself. After all, the words and attitudes of the Feng family before showed strong hostility towards her. If she didn't stand up and say something, she was afraid that people would think she was a soft persimmon that could be easily bullied. But Feng Chengyuan spoke for her and defended her so clearly. Yun Miao never expected it, and she felt inexplicably moved. "I have said everything I wanted to say. I think you don't have anything else to do, so we will go back first." While the others were still in shock, Feng Chengyuan had no intention of staying any longer. He called Yun Miao and left the restaurant directly. As for what the rest of the Feng family would say after Feng Chengyuan and Yun Miao left, that was not something the two of them could do anything about. On the way back, Yun Miao could sense that Feng Chengyuan was in a bad mood, but he was not sure what he was unhappy about. So after hesitating for a moment, he took the initiative to say, "I'm sorry, I was too impulsive before and said those words." "It's okay, you're right." Feng Chengyuan's voice was a little low, and usually sounded mesmerizingly heavy, but now it sounded filled with unresolvable sorrow. Yun Miao paused, and for a moment she seemed to see the shadow pressing on Feng Chengyuan's shoulders. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end no words came out. Don't worry, after today, they won't have any issues with your identity anymore. Feng Chengyuan didn't notice Yun Miao's reaction. After saying something to himself, he left without looking back. Although Yun Miao didn't know why Feng Chengyuan was so sure, since he had already said so, Yun Miao decided to believe him. When I returned to the yard where I lived, it was completely dark. However, there were street lights everywhere in this huge house, so the environment didn't seem too dark. After saying goodbye to Feng Chengyuan, Yun Miao returned to his room. Thinking about what happened today, he couldn't help but feel emotional. There are always many troubles in a big family. Forget it. Why think so much? I just need to live my life well. Yun Miao thought that her live broadcast today was not finished yet, so she excitedly took out the live broadcast ball, changed into a light white dress, and went straight out the door. Chapter 54 You Are a Liar. When she saw the pavilion in the middle of the lake before, Yun Miao thought that the place was very suitable for live streaming. The surrounding environment was so beautiful, and privately Yun Miao also wanted to stay closer to the water. Even if she couldn't go into the water, feeling the rich water vapor around her would make her feel more comfortable. Unfortunately, it was already dark now. Although there were night lights, the beautiful scenery of the pavilion in the center of the lake was certainly not as stunning as during the day. But what does it matter? As long as there is water, it's fine. Maybe after the live broadcast is over, I can quietly go down to the water in the dark and windy night. This is Yun Miao's real thought. Yun Miao came to the pavilion in the middle of the lake excitedly. He did not waste any time and directly turned on the live broadcast ball. After the live broadcast ball automatically flew in the air, Yun Miao's light brain automatically popped up the live broadcast interface. Ah, the missing anchor finally showed up. If you don't show up again, I'm going to call the police. Closing square bracket. Meow meow, you have been gone for 32 hours, 40 minutes, and 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds, every minute and every second that I missed you. Meow meow, what are we going to broadcast live tonight? The live broadcast lady has changed her live broadcast location again. Why is the light so dim over there? Is she outside? Closing square bracket. Question mark comma question mark. The live broadcast started for only a short while before netizens rushed into the live broadcast room, and then the barrage of comments quickly floated up. Yun Miao looked at the still lively live broadcast room and smiled sweetly. I'm going to live stream outside today. During the day, I saw a beautiful place with lotus flowers blooming all around. Unfortunately, I can only see the outline of it now. As he spoke, Yun Miao used the light brain to control the live broadcast ball to fly outside the pavilion and slightly raise its position so that netizens could roughly see some of the surrounding scenes. Soon, Yun Miao took back the live broadcast ball, and the barrage in the live broadcast room exclaimed in surprise because of the previous glimpse. Although I can't see it clearly, there is really a large field of lotus flowers. I just saw that the nearest few lotus flowers are about to bloom. Closing square bracket. I believe the host's words. It must be beautiful when watching during the day. Closing square bracket. Speaking of which, such a large field of lotus should be a good check-in spot. Why haven't I heard of it? Is it on another planet? Closing square bracket. I haven't heard of it either. Netizens were curious about Yun Miao's whereabouts, which made Yun Miao feel a little amused and helpless. She couldn't say that she was in Feng Chengyuan's old house, so she could only explain vaguely and then quickly change the subject. This is a private place, it's normal that you don't know. Okay, now let me think about what song to sing tonight. After all, it's such a beautiful place, it would be nice to sing a song that suits the occasion. As soon as Yun Miao started singing, the audience became happy and started giving gifts in the live broadcast room. Special effects started flashing on the live broadcast interface, making it very lively. When she had nothing to do before, Yun Miao had already made accompaniments for many of the songs she remembered and saved them in the light brain. After searching for a while, she found the song she wanted. Okay, I'm going to start singing. I'm going to give you a song called Moonlight Over the Lotus Pond. Yun Miao chuckled and clicked the accompaniment to play. The next second, a melodious tune rang in the ears of all the audience. The sound of flowing water, accompanied by the sounds of the zither and flute, is melodious and has a hint of warmth and antiquity, occasionally mixed with the sounds of insects and birds, making people feel as if they have entered a paradise. Cut a piece of time and let it flow slowly. Question mark 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 question mark. The beautiful sound of the piano fell beside me. Yun Miao's voice, with a faint ethereal feeling, rang out in the night, accompanied by melodious classical music, which made people intoxicated. Quote. I'm like a fish in your lotus pond. Just to wait for the bright white moonlight with you. After swimming through the 4 seasons, the lotus is still fragrant. Waiting for you in the middle of the water. Quote. As Yun Miao sang, the audience seemed to enter a beautiful painting, with clear water and lotus ponds. Under the moonlight, the water rippled and fish swam freely. Occasionally, they would jump out and hold a petal in their mouths and put it into the water. Or, the beautiful fish tail would swing and the crystal water droplets would splash onto the lotus leaves, slowly rolling down and dripping into the water. After the song was over, the audience loved it so much that gifts started pouring in the live broadcast room again. What kind of a magical song is this? What kind of a magical anchor is this? I love it so much. Closing square bracket. Although the entertainment industry is not doing well now, I have a bold request. Miao Miao, you should become a singer and specialize in singing. I wish every word you say could be sung. Closing square bracket. Ju Min, I actually think what the gentleman above said makes a lot of sense. It's okay if you don't want to be a singer, but at least record and upload the songs you've sung separately. I'll buy them no matter how expensive they are. Question mark. Yun Miao looked at several comments automatically selected by the system, stroked his chin and fell into deep thought. I haven't thought about this before, maybe it's a good idea. Thinking of this, Yun Miao smiled at the live camera flying in front of him and said, I have received your suggestions. I will consider them if I have time. The barrage suddenly blossomed again. Yun Miao felt that netizens were truly a group of lovely people. When he was thinking about what song to sing next, a voice suddenly came from behind him. What are you doing? The voice appeared so suddenly that Yun Miao's heart trembled immediately. He turned around quickly and saw that the little girl named Feng Yaoyao who he had seen during the day appeared again. It's you. You scared me to death. How come you walk without making any sound? Yun Miao let out a long sigh and patted his chest to ease his violently beating heart. Seeing that everyone in the live broadcast room was asking what was going on and whether something had happened, Yun Miao quickly explained a few words, said goodbye to the audience and turned off the live broadcast. After all, there were outsiders present, so it was not convenient for her to continue the live broadcast. It was a pity that the original plan fell through. Feng Yaoyao watched Yun Miao put away the live broadcast ball, and then asked innocently, Are you a woman who would lie? Yun Miao looked confused when he heard this. Huh, what? During the day, you said you were lying to me, right? So you are a liar. I'm not a liar, and I haven't lied to you, little sister. You are lying to me now. Quote. Yun Miao was speechless. Why was this topic so weird? Moreover, seeing the other person staring at him straightly, coupled with the dim environment around him, he inexplicably felt a sense of fear. Thinking about how she had walked behind him before and he didn't even notice it, and how she was almost scared to death in the middle of the night, Yun Miao felt that the little girl in front of her was weird, and she didn't want to stay with her anymore. It's getting late. I have to go back. You should go back to bed early. Yun Miao thought it would be better to go back quickly, but just as she turned to leave, she suddenly felt as if she was floating in the air and left the place in an instant. She saw that the distance between herself and Feng Yaoyao was shortened in an instant, and then her line of sight seemed to fall in an arc, and the next second her whole body was submerged in the cold lake water. Chapter 55 Bloodthirsty Loli. PFF'd. The sound of someone falling into the water was particularly obvious in the darkness. However, at this moment, there was no one else at the pavilion in the middle of the lake except Yun Miao and Feng Yaoyao, so naturally no one noticed what was happening here. Yun Miao only realized the moment he fell into the water that someone had attacked him. What on earth had just happened? Judging from the feeling just now, I was clearly thrown into the water by someone. How can a little girl have so much strength? Could it be that the little girl is a super strong loli? Yun Miao in the water was still in the mood to think, and didn't feel afraid at all. After all, she is a mermaid. Entering the water is like going home. Is there any need to be afraid? She did not transform into a mermaid after falling into the water, but instead swam out of the water by swinging her legs. In the pavilion in the middle of the lake, Feng Yaoyao was still standing on the stone steps overlooking the water, looking at the water. When she saw Yun Miao popping his head out, a creepy smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. I hate it most when people cheat me. Swindlers, go to hell. Feng Yaoyao was mumbling something in her childish voice, but her words were like the devil's whisper, making people shudder. The next second, Yun Miao had just surfaced when she felt a huge force pressing on her head, causing her to sink involuntarily. She wanted to struggle, but found it was not that easy. Gulu gulu. A few bubbles burst on the water surface, and after creating a few ripples, it slowly returned to calm. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Feng Yaoyao stood on the stone steps and stared at the water surface quietly. After waiting for about 10 minutes, she withdrew her mental power that covered the water surface. The moment her mental power was withdrawn, her body shook involuntarily a few times. Fortunately, she quickly grabbed the handrail next to her and stabilized her body. You liar, you deserve to die. If you die, no one will be able to deceive Brother Yuan anymore. Feng Yaoyao looked at the lake surface which was no longer moving, grinned with a somewhat morbid smile, then turned around and skipped away humming a song. She didn't see that shortly after she left, a series of bubbles suddenly appeared on the lake surface which had originally calmed down, and then Yun Miao quietly emerged from the water. The faint moonlight poured down on the lake and also fell on the clouds that appeared at this moment. At this moment, Yun Miao has transformed into a mermaid, with her long, soft hair falling from her shoulders and spreading in the water. Her already beautiful face looks even more delicate. A faint mark on her forehead seems to emit a soft glow under the moonlight, making Yun Miao look sacred and inviolable. In the water, the silver-blue fish tail sways randomly and regularly, and the translucent tail fin stretches in the water like a skirt, beautiful and elegant. Yun Miao breathed a sigh of relief only after he confirmed that Feng Yaoyao had completely left. However, he couldn't help but complain in his heart. Fortunately, it happened to me. If someone else encountered this kind of thing, I'm afraid they would have to die here now. At such a young age, I didn't expect you to be so cruel. Yun Miao clicked his tongue twice, thinking that he had really misjudged her before. He thought the other party was an innocent little girl, but he didn't expect her to be a bloodthirsty loli who would turn against him at any time. Feng Yaoyao's actions just now really showed that she wanted to kill someone. Yun Miao felt that if he didn't have mermaid blood and didn't transform into a mermaid at the critical moment, he would have been killed by her. I never thought that behind that innocent and lovely appearance, there was such a cruel heart. Moreover, if I am not mistaken, Feng Yaoyao used her mental power to deal with me just now, right? Although Yun Miao didn't know much about the so-called mental power, looking at Feng Yaoyao's ability just now, he thought it should be a very powerful level. It was really irresponsible to release such a capable but sick little loli like this. The Feng family is indeed a dangerous place. Yun Miao complained in his heart and sank into the water again. Originally, she planned to swim a few laps in the water to relax. Although she was forced to enter the water now, she finally got what she wanted. As for the fact that Feng Yaoyao wanted to kill her, Yun Miao did not intend to let it go. Even if the other party was a little girl, she had to pay the price for her actions. I have to think carefully about how to settle this account. Just as Yun Miao was swimming in the lake, Feng Yaoyao, who was skipping back, bumped into someone when she turned through a half-moon door. Oops! Feng Yaoyao screamed and fell to the ground unexpectedly. She looked up at the person who knocked her down with tears in her eyes and complained, "How do you walk? You hurt me, you." However, when she saw who was standing in front of her, the words got stuck in her mouth. Butler Wu didn't expect to bump into someone at the corner, so he quickly stepped forward to help the person up and apologized. "Miss Yao Yao, I'm really sorry, I was so anxious to find someone that I didn't notice you." As soon as Feng Yao Yao stood up, she quickly took a step back and kept a distance from Butler Wu. When she heard Butler Wu say that he was looking for someone, the expression on her face became unnatural for a moment. "Yes, really, then I don't blame you." Feng Yao Yao lowered her head slightly, hiding the expression on her face in the shadows. She didn't want to have much contact with Butler Wu, so she wanted to leave quickly after passing by him. However, before she could take a step, Butler Wu called her again. "By the way, Miss Yao Yao, have you seen my wife? She is the woman who came back with the admiral." Butler Wu asked casually, but he didn't expect Feng Yao Yao to deny it loudly after hearing his question. "I have never seen that liar woman. Who wants to see her?" Feng Yao Yao was so excited that even Butler Wu was stunned. He looked at her strangely, as if he was examining something. Being stared at by Butler Wu, Feng Yao Yao suddenly felt even more flustered. She didn't dare to stay any longer and just lowered her head and quickly slipped away. "Miss Yao Yao." Butler Wu originally wanted to ask more questions, but he didn't expect Feng Yao Yao to suddenly run away. Looking at her back, she seemed a little flustered, as if he was some kind of monster, which made Butler Wu feel even more puzzled. "I didn't ask anything just now, right? Then why does she seem so nervous?" Butler Wu thought for a moment, then frowned slightly. After hesitating for a moment as if he had thought of something, he turned around and walked in the direction he came from, and soon disappeared into the night. When Butler Wu's figure disappeared from sight, Feng Yao Yao, who had already left, poked her head out from a corner. "Fortunately, we were not discovered. What's so good about looking for that woman?" Feng Yao Yao patted her flat chest, a look of relief appeared on her face. The panic she had just felt had disappeared, and instead she revealed a sly smile. "But if you want to look for her, just keep looking. Anyway, none of you can find her, hee hee." Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 56 Missing. Feng Chengyuan had just finished tonight's routine treatment when he saw Butler Wu rushing back in a hurry. "Have you found someone?" Feng Chengyuan asked casually. Butler Wu shook his head and replied, "No, I searched all the places where Miss Yun might have gone, but I didn't see her. I don't know if something happened." He seemed to be speaking out of confusion casually, but after saying it, he seemed to have thought of something and continued with some worry. "Do you think it's possible that someone else in the Feng family did something?" Feng Chengyuan frowned when he heard this, as if he was thinking about something, but then shook his head. "They're not that stupid. Although the people of the Feng family have a lot of thoughts, Feng Chengyuan knows that they will not break off relations with him until they truly achieve their goal, so it is unlikely that they have done anything behind his back." "But, Yun Miao was away for such a long time, where did he go?" Feng Chengyuan couldn't figure it out, so he could only ask Butler Wu to continue looking. Butler Wu did not delay and went out again. The Feng family is very large, and it is obviously impossible for one person to search the entire Feng family. Therefore, after consulting Feng Chengyuan's opinion, he informed the original housekeeper of the Feng family about this matter and asked the other party to arrange someone to help him search for Yun Miao's whereabouts. Soon, other people in the Feng family heard the news that Butler Wu was looking for someone. Some people didn't take it seriously, some were gloating and ready to watch the show, and some were suspicious and guessed all kinds of conspiracy theories behind this matter. In short, the entire Feng family was alarmed by this incident that night. It's a pity that he cares about the daughter of a nobody merchant. In a house, a woman dressed in silk pajamas and looking a little charming sat in front of the dressing table, applying skincare products to herself. She looked in the mirror at the man who was leaning against the headboard and looking at her on the bed behind her, and spoke as if chatting casually. "No matter what her identity is, isn't it good that Feng Chengyuan likes her? At least being with the daughter of a second-rate businessman is better than being with the Song family, isn't it? Feng Qing stood up with an evil smile on his face, walked behind the woman, bent down and picked her up, then rolled onto the bed together as she screamed. In another house, Feng Zhen was still working in the study, while Feng Anlin and Feng Linyu were standing in front of his desk reporting on today's work. When he learned about what happened outside, Feng Zhen's expression was a little complicated, but he immediately suppressed the impatience in his eyes. Why don't you continue talking? The two stopped reporting before the meeting. Feng Zhen frowned and scolded unhappily, and then Feng Anlin and Feng Linyu continued talking. Originally everyone thought that this matter was just a trivial matter, and even laughed at Feng Chengyuan in his heart for making such a fuss for a woman, which was really a joke. However, when this matter lasted for several hours and the person was still not found, everyone felt that something was wrong. A person was fine, how could he just disappear at home? Is there anything more ridiculous than this? Before we knew it, everyone started paying attention to this matter. Mr. Feng had originally gone to bed early, but was woken up by Yun Miao's disappearance. It was already midnight. Old Master Feng, whose biological clock was disrupted, ordered everyone in the Feng family to gather in the front hall in a low mood. When everyone arrived yawning and dissatisfied, they saw old Master Feng's gloomy face and did not dare to say anything more. Feng Chengyuan also appeared here, or it was his instruction that Mr. Feng was alarmed. Seeing that most people had arrived, Mr. Feng slammed the ground hard with the cane in his hand. The dull sound immediately attracted everyone's attention. Tell me, what's going on? Old Master Feng looked at Feng Chengyuan and asked, his tone full of displeasure. Feng Chengyuan didn't really care about Mr. Feng's attitude, but since Mr. Feng asked, he didn't let Butler Wu tell him the whole story. Soon after dinner, the madam disappeared. We originally thought she was just taking a walk outside and would be back soon, but she was nowhere to be seen until very late, so the admiral asked me to go out and look for the madam. But now I have searched the entire Feng family mansion, but there is no sign of the madam. Butler Wu recounted the story in detail. After listening, Mr. Feng said indifferently, I thought it was a big deal. Have you searched all the manors in such a large area? Yes, I have looked for them all. Butler Wu said this neither humbly nor arrogantly. Feng Zhen snorted coldly. Can such a grown man disappear in his own home? Feng Zhen's wife, who was standing by, echoed with a sleepy look on her face. Everyone can't sleep well just because of one person. That's really a big deal. As he said this, he glanced at the calm and composed Feng Chengyuan inconspicuously. Seeing that there was no reaction on the other's face, he curled his eyes in dissatisfaction, muttered something under his breath, and said nothing more. It is true, she is missing. Feng Chengyuan raised his eyes and looked at everyone. Although there was no change in emotion in his tone, it gave people an invisible sense of oppression. Because something unpleasant happened during dinner, now I have reason to suspect any of you. Feng Chengyuan's words instantly ignited everyone's emotions. The elders looked unhappy, but they were still able to keep their composure at this moment. However, some of the younger generation were indeed angered. Feng Chengyuan, what do you mean by that? Are you doubting what we would do to a woman? Feng Anchen was already unhappy about being called to a family meeting in the middle of the night. When he heard Feng Chengyuan's words, he felt provoked. He immediately stood up and glared at Feng Chengyuan. Among the younger generation, Feng Anchen was the first to speak out. Although the others didn't say anything, they all nodded in agreement and looked at Feng Chengyuan with a blaming look. Since you have doubts, then show us the evidence. Feng Anlin pushed the gold-rimmed glasses on his face and spoke to Feng Chengyuan in a businesslike manner. Feng and Nan stood aside with a frown on his face, as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. When he looked at Feng Chengyuan, there was a hint of accusation in his eyes. Feng Chengyuan simply ignored the shouting Feng Anchen and the pretentious Feng Anan, and looked directly at the calm Feng Anlin. There was a cold aura in those sharp eyes, which made Feng Anlin, who had been in the business world for a long time and was not easily frightened, feel like retreating. But he thought that if he retreated at this moment, what would be the difference between that and admitting defeat? So Feng Anlin gritted his teeth and went forward. How do you want to do it? Feng Anlin asked. Feng Chengyuan was somewhat more satisfied with Feng Anlin's reaction. It seemed that the Feng family was not hopeless. However, Feng Chengyuan's satisfaction was only a little bit, and it disappeared in a short moment. He stared at Feng Anlin meaningfully, and then said a word coldly. Search. Chapter 57. I will find the truth myself. Don't go too far. Feng Anlin immediately understood Feng Chengyuan's idea. He wanted to turn the entire Feng family upside down. His face suddenly became very ugly. Feng Zhen also said unhappily, Chengyuan, stop it and don't make too much trouble. Feng Qing chuckled twice, but it sounded like his laughter was full of sarcasm. Chengyuan, do you mean to doubt your own family? You are so sad. The two of them spoke, and the others followed suit. That's right. We have always given in to you before. Do you really think we are afraid of you? Quote. Enough. At Mr. Feng's command, the noisy hall instantly quieted down. His clear eyes looked at Feng Chengyuan, and for a moment some emotion flashed through his mind, and he immediately asked, Are you really going to do this? Feng Chengyuan didn't answer, but his determined eyes expressed everything he wanted to express. Mr. Feng's expression froze. He took a deep breath, slammed the ground with his cane, and said in a deep voice, Okay, I'll let you search. Once the old man spoke, no one else dared to question it anymore. They could only angrily call for people to come and obey Feng Chengyuan's orders. Butler Wu. Feng Chengyuan called out, and Butler Wu, who was following behind him, immediately understood and stepped forward. I will search every place carefully, don't worry, Admiral. Butler Wu raised his eyes and met Feng Chengyuan's. For a moment, as if they had exchanged some information, Butler Wu nodded imperceptibly, then walked out with his men. When Butler Wu left the hall, Feng Yaoyao, who had been hiding behind someone near the door, dodged as if she was afraid of being discovered. Butler Wu glanced casually, and when he saw Feng Yaoyao's evasive look, he paused slightly, but then he retracted his gaze, quickened his pace and left. After Butler Wu left, Feng Yaoyao poked her head out from behind the crowd. There was no panic on her face as if she was being stared at. Instead, she looked calm and indifferent. At this moment, she was completely different from the dodging look she had just had. She glanced outside, then retracted her gaze after a moment, then quietly looked at Feng Chengyuan in the crowd. Some emotion seemed to flash across her dark eyes for a moment. Feng Chengyuan was waiting quietly in the hall. Old Master Feng was also sitting in the main seat with a sullen face, looking as if he had to wait for the result. Although the others complained a lot in their hearts, they had no choice but to stay. No one spoke in the hall, and the atmosphere seemed extremely depressing for a moment. After an unknown amount of time, someone finally couldn't help but speak out his dissatisfaction. Chengyuan, you had to stir up such a commotion as soon as you came back. What were you thinking? Do you really want to disturb everyone's peace? Feng Zhen endured it again and again, but finally he couldn't hold his temper anymore. Feng Chengyuan didn't say anything, but old man Feng took over the conversation. Chengyuan, after all these years, can't you let it go? After these words were spoken, Feng Chengyuan, who seemed to have worn indifference as a mask on his face, showed a rare change. He pulled the corner of his mouth and said sarcastically, I thought you had forgotten it, Grandpa. It seems that such a similar scene has reminded you of it now. Didn't my mother disappear in the same way 20 years ago? Feng Chengyuan spoke in a calm tone, his eyes swept across the faces of old man Feng, Feng Zhen, and Feng Qing, and he took in their reactions. Guilty, evasive, ignoring. In what happened back then, none of these people were innocent. Chengyuan, you were still young when what happened back then, and you don't understand many things. It was your mother. Enough. Feng Chengyuan suddenly raised his voice, stopping old man Feng from continuing. He tried to calm himself down, and when he looked up again, there was no emotion on his face. I will find out the truth myself. After finishing speaking, Feng Chengyuan stopped talking and even closed his eyes, no longer paying attention to other people, as if he was refusing to continue communicating. Old Master Feng opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but after seeing Feng Chengyuan's actions, he could only snort and stop talking. Butler Wu led his men to search for Yun Miao in the manor. At the beginning, he led others to search continuously. However, as time passed and others became accustomed to such a carpet search, Butler Wu quietly left the crowd when no one was paying attention. In fact, Feng Chengyuan had already instructed him to secretly investigate the entire Feng family manor long before. In addition to finding out the reason for Marshal Feng's disappearance, he was also trying to find out the truth about the disappearance of General Feng's mother, Madame Chu Li, 20 years ago. It is obviously very difficult to conduct a thorough investigation of such a large Feng family. Moreover, so many years have passed, which makes the investigation even more difficult. If it were not for the fact that Butler Wu would secretly investigate every time he came back over the years and really found some clues, Feng Chengyuan might have given up on getting clues from the Feng family long ago. Yun Miao's sudden disappearance this time made Feng Chengyuan and Butler Wu realize that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, an opportunity for them to search for clues openly. With such tacit understanding between them, they naturally knew what to do without discussing it. This is also the reason why Feng Chengyuan insisted on making a big deal out of this. In the past, Feng Chengyuan was busy with the affairs of the Legion and had no time to investigate. Now that he has some free time, he naturally has to meet them. Butler Wu's abilities have never been shown in front of anyone, and few people know that he possesses super strong mental perception. When using his mental power, he can sense many places that are overlooked. If he takes this opportunity to search the entire manor, he will probably be able to obtain a lot of hidden clues. In the Feng family manor, the lights are on tonight and no one can sleep. However, on the other side of the manor, under the tranquil lake, Yun Miao was leisurely enjoying the comfort of swimming in the water. The beautiful tail fin spread out in the water, and every swing was like a layer of cloud gauze passing through the water, at a very fast speed, which also startled many fish swimming in the water. There are many fish in the lake, the most numerous of which are the more ornamental koi. Originally all the fish lived a peaceful and carefree life, but unexpectedly a big fish suddenly broke into their living place, scaring all the fish so much that they instinctively looked for a place to hide. However, the mermaids have always been the overlords of the water. The aura that this race instinctively exudes has the ability to awe all aquatic creatures, but it also makes them want to get closer. So, after Yun Miao swam 2 laps in the water, the fish that had been hiding suddenly popped out and began to chase after her. Wherever she swam, the fish followed her. Yun Miao felt very curious about this scene, so she turned around and swam towards the fish. However, when she got closer, the fish seemed to be frightened and immediately scattered and hid. But when Yun Miao ignored them, the fish gathered together again and continued to swim with her. Chapter 58. You're not looking for me, are you? Yun Miao was childishly playing a game of chase with the fishes and didn't notice how much time passed. When he felt tired and sleepy, he lay down in a patch of water grass at the bottom of the lake and fell asleep. Before falling asleep, Yun Miao was still thinking that as long as he left the lake before dawn and slipped back quietly, no one would know that he had actually slept in the water all night. If I can successfully conceal it, then I can do the same thing in the next few nights, sneaking into the lake to have some fun at night, and then go back before dawn. If that's the case, this trip to Feng's house won't be without any gain. But Yun Miao didn't know that his actions had already caused a storm in the Feng family, and the person who controlled this storm was Feng Chengyuan. When it reached 3 o'clock in the morning, many people in the hall could no longer hold on and found a place to sit down and rest. Old man Feng had also changed his seat and sat on the soft sofa, covered with a thin blanket, and dozed off against the sofa cushion. Only Feng Chengyuan sat in the wheelchair, quietly looking at the night outside without saying a word. It's not that no one has thought about leaving, but since both Old Man Feng and the head of the family, Feng Zhen, are still here, it's naturally not a good idea for the others to leave first. They can only stay together and see what the final outcome will be. There was a sound of footsteps, and the people closest to the door were the first to wake up. They perked up and looked, and saw Butler Wu walking in with something in his hand. It wasn't until Butler Wu walked to Feng Chengyuan's side that the others finally came to their senses. Have you finished the search? What are the results? Feng Zhen spoke first, questioning unhappily. Butler Wu bowed slightly beside Feng Chengyuan and presented a round ball in his hand to Feng Chengyuan. I found this live broadcast ball in the pavilion in the center of the lake. Feng Chengyuan looked at the live broadcast of the ball, his brows furrowed, and his eyes slowly sank. This is Yun Miao's thing. How did it appear in the pavilion in the center of the lake? He looked up at Butler Wu, waiting for his answer. Butler Wu shook his head and said, I only saw the live broadcast ball casually falling to the ground at the lakeside pavilion, but I didn't see Madam. I suspect she may have fallen into the water, so I have arranged for someone to go into the water to look for her. Fell into the water by accident. Feng Chengyuan sneered. He knew that the pavilion in the middle of the lake had guardrails in all directions except for the flooded stone steps in one direction. Yun Miao was not a fool and would not go out to play in such a place so late at night without paying attention to safety. He looked up at the people around him and said meaningfully, it's still unknown whether it was a mistake or not. As soon as these words were spoken, some people were immediately dissatisfied. However, before they could vent their anger, Feng Chengyuan had already walked out with Butler Wu. The others looked at each other, hesitated for a moment, and followed Feng Chengyuan's footsteps. They wanted to see what happened to that guy named Yun Miao who caused such a big fuss. The group soon arrived at the pavilion in the middle of the lake. Because Butler Wu had already ordered people to go into the water to search, the lakeside was quite lively at this moment. Seeing Feng Chengyuan and his team coming, one of the bodyguards in charge of commanding the search for people in the water immediately came forward to report his work. Upon learning that no trace had been found yet, Feng Chengyuan's face became even uglier. If you ask me, don't look for her anymore. She's just a woman. Feng Anchen's ruffian voice came, but before he could finish his words, Feng Chengyuan glared at him, and he was immediately speechless and dared not say any more. Feng Qing looked at his disappointing son with disdain and stepped forward to smooth things over. Chengyuan, what that brat Anchen said makes sense. The galaxy is so big, there are so many beautiful women. If you lose this one, you can just find another one. Why bother so much? If she dies, the worst that can happen is that I can just give her family some compensation. Feng Chengyuan ignored what Feng Qing said and kept his head down, operating something on his computer. Feng Qing was a little unhappy about being ignored, and walked forward to pat Feng Chengyuan on the shoulder, but was stopped by Butler Wu before he could do so. The admiral doesn't like being touched. Please respect yourself. Butler Wu spoke in a neither humble nor arrogant manner, with a gentle and polite expression on his face, making it impossible to find any fault with him. Feng Qing's expression changed, feeling provoked. You this. Feng Qing was about to vent his anger on Butler Wu, but Feng Chengyuan stopped what he was doing, looked up at Feng Qing, and said coldly, Second uncle, you are so excited, is it because Yun Miao's disappearance has something to do with you? This sentence made Feng Qing stunned. After he reacted, he quickly denied it. How is it possible? Feng Chengyuan glanced at the crowd and then landed on an inconspicuous figure. He asked, then, who is that voice? As he was speaking, Feng Chengyuan's optical computer turned on the speaker function, and immediately a voice that was unfamiliar yet somewhat familiar to Feng Qing rang out from Feng Chengyuan's optical computer. What are you doing? Hearing this voice, everyone present was stunned for a moment. Whose voice is this? It sounds familiar. And why did Feng Chengyuan suddenly play this? Just when everyone was confused, Butler Wu on the side began to explain tacitly. This audio clip was captured from the lady's live video. Before she disappeared, she was doing a live broadcast here, and someone called her before she went off the air. So we now suspect that the person who called her was her murderer. These were the clues that Butler Wu found in a short period of time after finding the live broadcast ball, and he also immediately remembered something that he had overlooked at the time. Everyone looked at each other in confusion because of what Butler Wu said, and no one could guess whose voice it was. Just as everyone was looking at Butler Wu, ready to ask who he was talking about, Butler Wu looked in one direction and asked with a gentle expression, "Miss Yao Yao, do you have any explanation?" Upon hearing this, everyone looked in the direction Butler Wu was looking, and saw the little lowly Feng Yao Yao with twin ponytails standing there at a loss, like a poor and helpless lamb, in the shadow of a clump of flowers and plants near the lake. Feng Qing also suddenly remembered, wasn't that voice exactly the same as that of his illegitimate daughter? It's no wonder that he never paid attention to his daughter on weekdays, and no wonder he didn't think of her for a while. Just as everyone was looking at Feng Yao Yao, ready to see how she would explain, at the same time, Yun Miao, who was originally sleeping soundly in the lake, was awakened by an unusual wave of water waves. The fishes around him seemed to be frightened and scattered in an instant. Yun Miao blinked his eyes and was able to understand what the fish wanted to express from the paths they swam. She woke up. Someone went into the water. Humans look for things in the water. They are coming soon. Yun Miao was surprised for a moment, but soon realized that there was more information inherited in her mind, which allowed her to understand what the fish were saying. After being stunned for a moment, Yun Miao came to his senses and remembered what he had just sensed from the fish. Is anyone looking for something in the water? What are you looking for? You're not looking for me. Chapter 59 Unexpected Disaster. Yun Miao was startled by his own guess and quickly swam out from the water plants where he was sleeping, looking in the direction where he first sensed the abnormality. She is now in the form of a mermaid, and every aspect of her body has undergone tremendous changes. Moreover, her vision is not affected in the dark environment of the water. However, Yun Miao did not find anything unusual and was somewhat skeptical as to whether the information he had just heard from the fish was true. After a brief hesitation, Yun Miao closed his eyes, opened his mouth slightly and sent out a silent sound wave, which quickly surged towards the distance. At the same time, a map of the lake bottom seemed to appear in Yun Miao's mind, and any place in the lake emerged in Yun Miao's mind. Soon, Yun Miao opened his eyes and looked in one direction with a solemn look. Someone really came into the water. Was he here to look for me? Could it be that they discovered that I am a mermaid and came to capture me? Thinking of this, Yun Miao's heartbeat quickened a lot, but soon he forced it to calm down. No, if they came to arrest me because my identity was exposed, there wouldn't be just a few of them, and they would definitely have set up a tight net around me to prevent me from escaping. So I think they might have other reasons for going into the water. No matter what, I should get out of the water now and wait and see what happens. Thinking of this, Yun Miao did not delay and quickly swam in another direction. Yun Miao was moving very fast in the water. In just a moment, he swam to the shore, avoiding the people who went into the water. In a shadow where no light could reach, Yun Miao popped his head out, with half of his face still hidden in the water. Only a pair of big eyes were exposed, looking around vigilantly. She saw a lot of people gathered in the light on the distant shore. Yun Miao, who had excellent eyesight, spotted Feng Chengyuan in the crowd at a glance, and her heart tightened. Why is he on the shore? Also, why are so many of them gathering here in the middle of the night and not sleeping? Thinking of the people who had just fallen into the water, an idea popped up in Yun Miao's mind. Could it be that Feng Chengyuan thought that I fell into the water and drowned, so he sent someone to fish out the body? Yun Miao was a little curious, so she swam closer quietly. Anyway, those who had jumped into the water to rescue people had already swam far away, and no one would notice that she was in the water near the shore. Hiding in a place where she was not easily discovered, Yun Miao secretly listened to the people talking on the shore. After listening for a while, Yun Miao finally figured out what had happened. She also saw Feng Yao Yao who threw her into the water at that time. She didn't know what clues Feng Chengyuan had found that led him to point the finger at the real murderer so quickly. Okay, it's a little weird to say the real murderer, but it's almost there. When Feng Yao Yao was being stared at by everyone, she shrank like a frightened deer, trying to find a place to hide, with obvious fear in her eyes. This reaction made some people who didn't know the truth instinctively conclude that such a timid girl could not do anything, and they began to look at Feng Chengyuan with suspicion. You mean, her? Are you sure? What can she do? Don't just find someone to take the blame if you can't find a reason. If you are going to find someone decent. Quote. Feng Anshan and a few other guys who disliked Feng Chengyuan finally found an excuse to mock him. Apparently, they felt a little embarrassed that Feng Chengyuan had searched for someone with great fanfare but found nothing, so they prepared to find someone to take the blame, and then they found Feng Yaoyao, the person with the least presence in the Feng family. Even Feng Zhen and others thought this was true, and the way they looked at Feng Chengyuan changed. Really? Then let her speak for herself. Feng Chengyuan didn't care what others thought of him at all. Instead, he kept staring at Feng Yaoyao. His eyes were so sharp that it seemed as if he could see through the secrets hidden in people's hearts. Feng Yaoyao's heartbeat quickened and her whole body was trembling slightly. At this moment, it seemed as if there were two little people arguing in her heart. One was trembling and wishing he could find a place to hide himself so as not to be stared at by so many people, while the other was crazy and violent and wanted to dig out all the eyes that were staring at him. No, it's not me, it's none of my business. Feng Yaoyao stood there in a daze for a long while before she seemed to finally react. She timidly retorted and looked at Feng Chengyuan. A gleam of light flashed in her eyes, but disappeared in an instant. Brother Yuan, I am innocent, why do you doubt me? Feng Yaoyao, who was in the shadows, reached out and wiped the corners of her eyes, as if she was wiping away tears. Only a little light from the outside world fell on her, but it was enough for people to see that her thin body was trembling slightly, making people feel fragile and vulnerable. Feng Qing stood up and said unhappily, Chengyuan, don't talk nonsense. Yaoyao is my daughter. You are slapping me in the face by doubting her like this. Although he never cared about this illegitimate daughter, she was still his blood, wasn't she? If he doubted her, wouldn't that be doubting himself? This made Feng Qing very unhappy. Feng Chengyuan did not comment, but gestured directly to Butler Wu. Butler Wu immediately stepped forward tacitly and began to inquire about Feng Yaoyao's location at the time of the incident. Yun Miao eavesdropped on what was happening in the water and knew that the black-hearted little loli was under suspicion. He immediately gave a thumbs up to Feng Chengyuan's cleverness. But should I show up now? If I show up and tell the truth, will anyone believe me? Looking at Feng Yaoyao's innocent and pitiful appearance, if Yun Miao was not a victim, he would really believe that she was an innocent and simple little girl. At this age and with such acting skills, if he were to work in the entertainment industry, people would say he was blessed by God. Just as I was hesitating, I heard Feng Yaoyao's crying voice. Brother Yuan, you said before that you would protect me, why are you doubting me now? Brother Yuan, you have become a bad person too. You all bully me. Feng Yaoyao cried loudly and aggrievedly, which made other people start to look at Feng Chengyuan with strange eyes. Some of them couldn't understand why Feng Yaoyao, the least visible member of the Feng family, was involved with Feng Chengyuan. Feng Chengyuan himself was also confused, but his face did not show any abnormality. However, Yun Miao in the water clicked his tongue twice, as if he had suddenly realized something. There are quirks, there are definitely quirks. Why did that black-hearted little loli suddenly attack me? So this is where the problem lies. It seems that I have suffered an unexpected disaster. Yun Miao felt aggrieved, but she didn't say anything. After listening to the noise for a while, Yun Miao saw that the bodyguards who had gone into the water to look for someone had begun to turn back. He thought that if he continued to stay in the water, these people would probably think he was dead, so he decided to quietly find a place to slip ashore. Chapter 60 Return My Life. While no one noticed him, Yun Miao found an inconspicuous corner, transformed into a human body, and then went ashore. This was a corner hidden by flowers, and no one would see her coming out of the water. When Yun Miao came out of the water, her white dress was already soaked, and it stuck to her body, perfectly outlining her curvy figure. Fortunately, it was not very cold at night, otherwise Yun Miao would probably be shivering by now. Taking a look at her wet clothes, Yun Miao stretched out her hand and gently touched them. She saw a stream of water like a small snake, poking out from the top of the white dress, then slowly winding out, circling around Yun Miao's hand several times. As the water slowly flowed out, Yun Miao's clothes quickly became dry. Go! Yun Miao watched the water circling around his hand affectionately, smiled and waved his hand. The next second, the water that was just circling flew out in the direction Yun Miao pointed, and then silently merged into the lake. After checking that his clothes were dry, Yun Miao walked out of the flowers. She had thought about it just now. She couldn't help Feng Yaoyao hide this matter. After all, the other party wanted to kill her. She was not a saint. She would not be soft-hearted and let go of someone who wanted to kill her just because the other party was young. As for why I disappeared for such a long time, I could just find a random excuse to cover it up. As Yun Miao thought about this, his steps became much lighter. She walked along the path lined with flowers, and in front of her was where Feng Yaoyao was standing. Yun Miao looked at Feng Yaoyao who was still wiping her tears innocently, and suddenly an idea flashed in her mind. It would be better to give her a good beating first to vent the anger in my heart, and then expose her actions to avenge myself. Humph, I won't give in to you just because you're younger than me. Yun Miao raised a wicked smile and then slowly slowed down his pace. He moved closer to Feng Yaoyao as if floating, and stopped when he was about 3 meters away from her. Thanks to the gardening flower wall next to it, Yun Miao's position was blocked behind, and no one except Feng Yaoyao could see him. In addition, Feng Yaoyao was also some distance away from the others, which made it easier for Yun Miao to hide his tracks. Feng Yaoyao was feeling sad because of the accusations and suspicions by Feng Chengyuan. She was caught off guard and suddenly felt a tingling sensation on her wrist. She quickly lowered her head and found that her wrist was wet. She looked at her hands and saw water dripping down. Suddenly, her vision became blurry and the originally transparent water turned red and flowed like blood. She was stunned for a moment, and then her pupils shrank suddenly. What happened? Why did I suddenly start bleeding? There is so much blood, is it going to drain all the blood out of my body? Feng Yaoyao's heart was shaken, but she suddenly sensed a white figure in the corner. She was startled and looked over quickly, and suddenly felt her heart skip a beat and was extremely surprised. How could it be? How could it be you? Why would the woman who was thrown into the water by me and almost confirmed to be drowned appear here? Feng Yaoyao's crying stopped abruptly, and she involuntarily took a step back. Everyone was arguing with Feng Chengyuan because of Feng Yaoyao's crying. In their eyes, Feng Yaoyao looked weak and could be bullied. She was like a transparent person in their daily life. How could such a person do something like killing someone? Isn't this Feng Chengyuan deliberately looking for trouble? However, at this moment, Feng Yaoyao's sudden voice made everyone look at her, and they happened to see Feng Yaoyao looking to the side with a look of horror, as if there was something there. What is it? Everyone was confused, but from where they were standing, they could only see a garden flower wall that was more than 1 person tall, and they couldn't see what was behind the wall at all. Seeing that he had attracted Feng Yaoyao's attention, and that the other party's mind was disturbed by his mermaid talent and mental power, Yun Miao suddenly became alert. Then he opened his mouth slightly and continued to emit sound waves that no one could hear, making Feng Yaoyao more immersed in the illusion created by him. In order to make the illusion more realistic, Yun Miao had let her hair down to cover most of her face. With her white dress on, in the dim environment, at first glance she looked like a wronged spirit from hell coming to claim her life. Coupled with the influence of Yun Miao's mental power, everything Feng Yaoyao saw became more and more distorted. Everything dark and disordered that fell into her eyes was a destruction to her mental power. She showed a look of fear, but she stood there motionless, as if she was completely frozen, and her face became paler and paler. Yun Miao was very satisfied with this, and it was worth her time wasting on mental hypnosis on her. Restraining the smile that was about to appear on the corners of his lips, Yun Miao slowly reached out his hand towards Feng Yaoyao. Return, my life, come. Yun Miao slowly approached Feng Yaoyao, uttering a word in a whisper with every step, each word sounding weak and ethereal. In such a dark environment, he looked like a ghost demanding revenge. Feng Yaoyao's eyes were wide open, and her pupils were trembling slightly. She watched Yun Miao slowly approaching her, but her brain seemed unable to react. She was a little dull and didn't know what she was thinking. The next second, in an unnoticed corner, water stains drawn by Yun Miao's ability quietly wet Feng Yaoyao's shoes, and then slowly climbed up her bare ankles and calves. Feng Yaoyao was even more terrified. Under the hypnosis of mental power, what she felt was not water without any attack power, but a severe pain, as if some creature in the dark was slowly corroding her. What? A scream cut through the darkness. Everyone was startled, but before they could react to what was happening, they saw a scene that made them drop their jaws. Feng Yaoyao, who looked innocent and pitiful just now, suddenly became a different person in the blink of an eye. A fierce light flashed in her eyes, and her whole aura became fierce. Oh no, she is activating her mental power. Who is she going to attack? Butler Wu seemed to be talking to himself, or as if he was talking to someone else, which immediately made Feng Zhen and Feng Qing beside him look at him in disbelief. Impossible, she has no mental strength. Feng Qing denied it directly. As Feng Yaoyao's father, even if he usually doesn't pay attention to his daughter, he still knows the basic situation. He knew that she had no mental power when he first brought her back to the Feng family. If she had mental power, how could he have ignored her for so many years? Feng Chengyuan looked at Feng Qing as if he was a fool, and said casually, she has mental power, and it is estimated to be B level or above. After these words were spoken, not only Feng Qing was stunned, but even the other members of the Feng family showed incredible expressions. How could the insignificant Feng Yaoyao have spiritual power? And it was B level or higher. How can it be? Over the years, the spiritual power of the Feng family members has been decreasing with every generation. If it weren't for the two evildoers Feng Ming and Feng Chengyuan, the family would have been in decline for many years. After all, even the spiritual power of the head of the family, Feng Zhen, has not broken through the A level for so many years, let alone others. However, if someone says now that Feng Yaoyao's mental strength may be higher than Feng Zhen's, no one will believe it. Stop her. Feng Chengyuan didn't care what others thought and gave the order directly. The next second, Butler Wu immediately agreed, and then he shot out like a sharp arrow and rushed directly towards Feng Yaoyao. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.